Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest live stream. I hope everybody's having a good afternoon so far. We do have a breaking situation to start out with in this live stream. There is currently an on-the-ground tornado that has just been confirmed by emergency management. This is near Charleston, South Carolina. This has just been confirmed in the last minute. This is going to be just to the southeast of Charleston. It's going to be located in this hook here that's moving toward Mount Pleasant and as well as the Casina Heights area near Interstate 526. Again, this has just been confirmed on the ground. Seek shelter immediately away from windows and on the lowest floor possible interior room of your home or building. We do have a live cam here, so I'm going to real quickly hop over to that on our other screen here. At the bottom right of your screen, that is actually right on the bridge to where this tornado is currently on the ground. This is near Mount Pleasant again. Seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. But right there in that black circle is where the suspected tornado is on the ground. The bottom right of your screen is really right on that bridge here, right here, where just west of Mount Pleasant. So again, this tornado right now is on the ground. Seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. There's also a tornado warning off to the northeast of this. Again, these storms are coming ashore with Hurricane Idalia. This is for Green Bay, and this is going to go for another 20 minutes, but it could get canceled quicker than that because the rotation overall is weakened there. This is where the tornado is located here. Notice that tightening of the rotation. Up here, I'm not nearly as concerned about a tornado. The rotation is much broader near 41 in Green Bay. Again, that's moving to the north, but seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in either of these ongoing tornado warnings. This is the latest radar scan as of a couple minutes ago. We should have a new one here in just a moment, but the tornado again is moving into Mount Pleasant as we speak. This has been confirmed again by emergency management, so seek shelter away from windows and lowest floor possible. We have another tornado warning that has just been issued as well. This is over near the Ladson area, Somerville. This has just been issued. Seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. This is also radar indicated rotation, and that's going to be with this pocket of rotation that is south of Ladson. That's what it's called. Moving off to the north. So again, seek shelter in your interior room of your home or building. Another pocket of rotation. This tornado's on the ground, and then this area up here to the north and east is much weaker in terms of its rotation, but the one that's going toward Ladson right now very well could produce a tornado at any time. So seek shelter in the lowest floor possible. This is a live cam here from the area where this tornado is currently on the ground. I'm not seeing anything as of right now. This is pretty much where it would be right now, possibly off to the east or somewhere in the vicinity, but this would be where the tornado is located. So this is a live cam here out of the area that there is a tornado on the ground. Again, this is in Charleston, South Carolina right now, and we'll be keeping a close eye on these different live cams because there's multiple in this area, and we'll be seeing if we can spot out anything in terms of an actual tornado, if we can find any evidence of it. But the tornado that's on the ground and that has been confirmed is associated with the storm that's just east of Charleston. Again, it's going to be back down here, moving to the north through the Interstate 526 area, and we have another tornado warning over here to the west going toward Ladson, and then also near Green Bay there's also another tornado warning in here near 41 moving to the north. That one could very well drop a tornado as well, but the rotation's in broader at this point. That one's likely rain wrapped, but the one that's near Isle of Palms going toward Casina Heights that has had a confirmed tornado is probably not going to be nearly as rain wrapped, so we could have a better view of it if we end up seeing a tornado on one of these live cams. And again, we are keeping a close eye on all sorts of different live cams right now, but there's very good chance that we might be able to see something as this moves into parts of, again, Charleston, South Carolina, just on the suburbs right now. And this is another live cam view as well. This is right on the bridge. Again, there's a lot of rain here. I'm not seeing anything right now in terms of strong winds. This area in particular in Mount Pleasant was actually stronger before in terms of the wind speeds. That camera was shaking a lot earlier. It's not shaking nearly as much, so that's probably the calm here with this ongoing tornado. A little bit of calm winds before it's kind of in the area. So again, this tornado right now is on the ground in just east of Charleston, South Carolina, moving off to the north. So again, seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible if you are included in this ongoing tornado warning. Next radar scan should be in here in just a second. Again, I don't see anything definitive on radar with this storm in terms of velocities. The one storm that I do see a lot more rotation with would be the one near 462 going toward Ladson, and the one near Green Bay, there's very broad and weak rotation just west of Green Bay, but that's also weaker, and it's really nothing there near Charleston. So my guess is with this tornado that's been confirmed is that it likely came ashore as a water spout, turned into a tornado briefly, and probably fizzled pretty quickly. That's my guess at this point, but obviously still stay in your safe place just in case. But there's nothing definitive here on radar that indicates a current tornado still on the ground. And this is the correlation coefficient. So again, nothing definitive here in terms of that either. So again, this was likely some sort of brief tornado that just came ashore within the last few minutes, and it likely weakened out. But still stay in your safe place just in case there's something else here that we're missing. But obviously it does seem to be weakened at this point, at least at this time. As of 3:40, this is the latest radar scan. And you'll notice again, this would be where the tornado is located. So it would be literally over the Casino Heights area. So if this tornado is still on the ground, we'd be able to see it right in that area, again, just east of Charleston. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. This is a zoomed in look right here, and it would likely be located right in here. If not, it could be located over here, but we don't have any definitive velocities here in terms of rotation that is really indicating any strong rotation with this area. But it would be over near the Hobe Cow Point or potentially near the Casino Heights area, again, moving to the north. We are still looking at other live cams to see if we have any view of this. If there is any tornado that we can pick out on one of these live cams. There's a ton of live cams again in this area, so if there is a tornado on the ground, it shouldn't be too hard to see. So I'm kind of looking on my other monitor here to see if we can find anything in particular. This is a live cam out of Sullivan's Island. Again, you can notice the wind's picking up a little bit. This is likely from the hurricane that's ongoing. This is probably from those winds on the outskirts of currently Hurricane Idalia. This is probably not from the ongoing tornado warning. This is a little bit further down to the south, really on the southern tip here, down near Sullivan's Island. And that's where that is. Here's where the tornado is likely on the ground right now, going off to the north near Mount Pleasant. Again, here's a zoomed out look. We have 3 tornadoes warnings right now, all near Charleston, South Carolina. These are moving to the north right now. So again, stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you are currently included in this ongoing tornado warning. And yeah, I'm still looking. I'm not seeing anything right now on these live cams in terms of a current tornado, but again, there could still be a tornado on the ground with this. The storm itself does have a pretty good hook here, so it's definitely not out of the question. Yeah, this is moving out to the north, so stay in your safe place. We have another tornado warning that is going toward Ladson right now. Here are the velocities. The velocities are a little bit weaker near Ladson, but there is still a little bit of rotation there that could drop a brief tornado. And then back near Charleston, we still have an ongoing tornado warning here. This would be where the tornado is located if it's still on the ground. Let's check the correlation coefficient again. Yeah, I'm still not seeing anything definitive right now. And then back up near Green Bay, that rotation is weakened at this point. So that one is no longer ongoing. That warning should be let to probably be canceled there. See if we see anything else on my other phone. I don't see anything else. So that's what we're looking at right now. Here are the dark skies right now in this confirmed tornado as of a few minutes ago. And you can notice, again, this is right here where the ongoing storm is. The winds aren't really too strong right now, but this is pretty dark skies. Rain is obviously falling, very wet roadways, and this is again where the tornado warning is currently ongoing in South Carolina. Again, this is near Charleston, just north of Charleston, north and east of Charleston, moving off to the north right now. All these storms right now are moving to the north, so just for reference here, these are going to be all moving off to the north. Tornado warning has now been canceled for the storm in Green Bay, which I obviously mentioned before. The other 2 tornado warnings that we have are still ongoing for Ladson, and as well as the Casino Heights area. So again, if you're included in either of these tornado warnings, stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible. I'm circling the areas of rotation for you on the map. So those are the 2 different spots of rotation. And again, this is moving off to the north. The next area and track of this potential still tornado on the ground will be going toward Martins Point Landing and Wando. So it'll be basically staying on the eastern side of this tornado warning. Daniel Island Pier, or Park, excuse me, as well as Yellow House Landing. You should all be in your safe place, just in case this tornado is still on the ground. Again, this was confirmed by emergency management, not by radar, so we don't have a clear view here of a tornado or any sort of strong rotation. But the guess is that it's likely right here, moving to the north toward Martin Point Landing. And again, this could very well still be on the ground, so stay in your safe place as this continues to move off to the north. And you can see here, not really any correlation coefficient drop, so we still don't have a confirmed radar tornado, but again, there very well could still be some sort of small tornado on the ground as this does continue to move off to the north. Still looking to see if we have any other live cam shots here. Again, I'm not seeing anything right now on the various live cams that we have in South Carolina. This is one live cam right here. This is an interesting one. It's actually pretty windy here. This is on a bridge. You can see the marsh there, but really windy, obviously very wet. This is close to this is in the tornado warning. So again, this is going to be on that Charleston, South Carolina tornado warning right here. And again, you'll notice the winds are picking up here. And this is again in Charleston and Dorchester County, South Carolina for the confirmed tornado. And, or actually, sorry, no, it's the Berkeley in Charleston County. Sorry, Berkeley and Charleston County. The one in Dorchester is not confirmed as of right now. And here's the latest radar scan. Let's check out the velocities again. As of 3:46 p.m. Velocities haven't updated yet, but here's the latest velocities or radar update. It's back to radar indicated, which I kind of expected. We don't have any definitive rotation on radar anymore. My guess, again, is that this was likely a brief tornado that just came ashore back near Mount Pleasant and Sullivan Island. But you'll notice the rotation. Again, I'm not really seeing anything too definitive. We'll see the next radar scan here in a second. This was 344, so the rotation was over Interstate 526. And then this is the reflectivity. So again, it would likely be located somewhere in this area here anyways, near the interstate of 526. The tornado warning in Green Bay, again, just got canceled a couple minutes ago. And back near Ladson, this is still an ongoing tornado warning. And the rotation's still here. It's not really that strong, but it is definitely there still. That's the rotation. You got your winds going away from the radar, and then you got your winds going toward the radar. That is your typical counterclockwise rotation with these storms, and it would be located there, just north of Forest Hills, going toward Ladson. Again, if this tornado is on the ground, it could very well be at any time, even in between radar scans. So make sure you're staying in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. We still have an ongoing tornado warning that's just off to the northeast of Charleston, South Carolina. Again, this does include Berkeley County and as well as Charleston County, South Carolina. This is no longer observed. It's back down to radar indicated rotation for the time being. Yeah, waterspouts that come from the ocean can very well still be tornadoes inland. It's definitely something that can't happen. In this instance, we likely just saw that happen, but again, it's kind of hard to tell whether it might have been something else, but it's more likely than not that's what we just saw happen, that there was probably a tornado, or waterspout, excuse me, that came from the ocean, and it dropped as a tornado inland. So that it likely just kind of crossed over briefly, because again, this was confirmed by emergency management. It wasn't confirmed by radar. And when we have a confirmation by radar, there's usually some sort of debris that we're seeing or something along those lines that'll give us a definitive look in terms of what's happening with the storm. And we just didn't have that with this. And a lot of the tropical tornadoes that we see, and they're not called tropical tornadoes, but basically whenever we have like a hurricane or a tropical storm, these tornadoes can very well be very quick. And we saw that a lot even with Ian. There was multiple brief tornadoes that weren't seen on radar, but they happened in real time. And that's why it's so critical to still be weather aware during a tornado watch, especially with a tropical storm or even a hurricane, because they very well can drop tornadoes out of nowhere in some instances. They can kind of catch you off guard if you are in the kind of like the middle of a tornado. So it's definitely one of those things that can very well happen out of nowhere. All right, back to the live radar. This is right now Ladson. Again, this tornado warning as of right now is still going for 25 minutes. Has been condensed. It is still radar indicated. And again, the rotation is starting to weaken out. It looks like latest radar scan going toward Ladson, a little bit weaker there in terms of the rotation. Near Daniel Island and the Martins Point landing area, I'm not seeing a whole lot of definitive rotation here either. Has weakened out. It does seem like this tornado is officially done for the time being in Martins Point landing, but still stay in your safe place for at least a few more minutes until the tornado warning is officially canceled. But again, we have a pretty active afternoon ahead, as well as the evening in terms of the tornado risk. We have a lot of storms that'll be coming off the coastline here, and these will move inland with the tornado risk. All these little showers and storms that you'll see here off the coast. I'll go back to the live radar. But all these different showers and storms that are off the coast here, all of these have a chance to produce a tornado as they move inland. And we just saw that again in Charleston, South Carolina. Definitely possible closer to areas inland near Ladson and really anywhere in the tornado watch. Again, right on the immediate coastline with Hurricane Idalia as it continues to move to the east. But while we have a second, again, there are 2 tornado warnings ongoing. We've gone over them a few times. We'll go back to them if anything changes. But I want to mention that, again, Hurricane Idalia is still a Category 1 hurricane. It has not yet weakened to a tropical storm. The next National Hurricane Center update is at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So that's in about an hour from now. And they will be probably announcing that this is no longer a hurricane by that point. That's my guess, because this has been, it's a pretty low-end Category 1 hurricane at this point. It's been flirting with land for a long time now. It's just over land right now. This is the center of the hurricane. It's back near Statesboro. And just northwest of Savannah. It's still likely producing winds around 60, 70, 80 miles per hour near the center there. So there will be a potential for power outages, down trees, all that sort of stuff. But I do think that overall this is weakening. It is inland. Again, it's not really interacting with the ocean very much. So overall, the weakening trend should continue as it continues to stay over land. This will eventually go back into the ocean, though. So it could very well strengthen just a smidge as it goes back into the ocean. But it should overall stay a bit weaker over the next few hours. I'll be going through forecast graphics and all that sort of stuff for the next several hours, so that you know what to expect over the next few hours, and in terms of the tornado risk, as well as any other threat that does come out of this, because there will be other threats with this, not just tornadoes. There's still storm surge, still flooding rains, and all that sort of stuff. This right here is pretty strong rotation. I wouldn't be surprised with a tornado warning back over near the Kesley Cove landing area and Norman Landing. There's a fairly strong rotation developing here. This is not tornado warned, but if you are currently in Kesley Cove Landing or Norman Landing, just east of Cottageville, I would seek shelter in your lowest floor possible. This rotation is beginning to develop here over the last few minutes. It looks like it's intensifying a bit. That could very well drop a tornado at any time as well. That's also over the Gettysville area. Rotation on the storm that was confirmed, no longer really rotating a whole lot. That storm has fizzled out for the most part in terms of rotation. Still producing some heavy rain. Maybe a rumble of thunder, but nothing really far beyond that. And in Ladson, there is still a little bit of rotation there. And that's located on the southwest side of Ladson. That's the rotation right there. So again, when we have that red color, that's representing winds going away from the radar, and then this is winds going toward the radar. So that's your typical counterclockwise motion with tornadoes. And there's your new tornado warning. Again, this will include Holly Ridge, Givens, as well as Norman Landing, Kesley Cove Landing, as well as the Cannon, Gettysville, and just east of Cottageville areas. This is a new tornado warning. Seek shelter immediately away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you are included in this tornado warning. Again, this one very well could drop a tornado at any time as well. That's, again, over near Route 17. Strong rotation that's moving off to the north-northwest right now. And we now have 3 tornado warnings ongoing. No longer any confirmed ones, but this one very well could drop at any time. The one that was confirmed, again, happened just southeast of Charleston. But this one over here near 17, I wouldn't be surprised if this drops even potentially in between radar scans or it drops now. I mean, this is pretty strong rotation right now. Moving off to the north-northwest. Let me zoom out a little bit here. I just want to see if we have any other rotation anywhere. That rotation wasn't tornado warned for a couple minutes there. That one started to develop pretty quickly. Not seeing any other rotation to the east right now. These are your 3 main pockets of rotation, but all the 2 that are back out to the east near Charleston do seem to be weaker at this point. But the one that's over near the Givens area, that does seem to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more organized, and this is on kind of the hook of the storm here. You'll notice, again, we have a little bit of a downward hook here. Inflow would be pretty prominent on the east side there, nothing really cutting that off, so there's definitely a good chance that this, again, could produce a tornado at any time as it moves off to the north. Let me go back zoomed out here, and we're going to go ahead and redraw that. So that circle that I just drew there, that would be where the tornado is located, if again it is on the ground right now. Let me change the title real quick. All right. Yeah, this storm could easily drop, and again, when we have hurricanes and stuff like this, this sort of environment, when we have, you know, strong shear, strong winds with a hurricane, and especially on the east side, we usually get these sort of tornado warnings. And these could very well just be brief tornadoes, but at the bare minimum, we are still looking at a tornado that very well could produce some damage. We've already had a confirmed tornado earlier today on the north side of Charleston. I'm not sure exactly where it was. There was a report of that earlier here, but there was a confirmed tornado north of Charleston around lunchtime, and that obviously produced some damage, and these very well could knock over trees, power lines, and that can just add to the chaos with this entire hurricane that's been obviously causing a lot of damage here over the past 24 hours, especially to Florida, and now it's causing at least some minor to moderate damage here across parts of South Carolina, and as well as Georgia. And to add along with all of that, there's flooding rain that's going to be coming out of this. So it's really a bad situation overall with everything that's happening. Here's the latest velocity scan as of 3 minutes ago. We should have a new scan here in a moment. Again, rotation over Ladson right now. Stay in your safe place. And over near Route 17 going toward Holly Ridge in South Carolina. 2 tornado warnings still ongoing here. Stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Is the hurricane over? It is not over. This is actually still a hurricane, believe it or not. It's going to be a Category 1 hurricane, probably all the way up until 5 is my guess, p.m. And it'll probably be downgraded to a tropical storm by then. But there will still be impacts in terms of storm surge, flooding, rainfall. There could be as many as 10 inches of rain in some areas in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. So, I mean, it's not over by any means. It's actually still going, which is pretty crazy to say the least, how this thing's been just chugging along as a hurricane still. It's still doing it. Just really crazy. Let me go back to some of the live cams here. We might have a live cam in this area. We'll see. Yeah, we have a lot of live cam views in South Carolina, so we'll have a pretty good view if any of these tornadoes are on the ground and whatnot. There is traffic now on a bridge that where a tornado may have been located. That's being reported, at least. I'm trying to see what that exact details are there. There's a disabled vehicle, which is causing some traffic, which probably is not from a tornado. That was over near the Daniel Island area. There have been some cameras that have also gone out near where that tornado made landfall, back over near Charleston, just southeast of Charleston, near Sullivan Island. So it's entirely possible as well that that could have possibly been, you know, something along the lines of a tornado knocking those out, but it's kind of uncertain right now whether that was the cause or not. I'm on my other monitor. I'm looking at some of the different live cam views. If we have any good views, I'll definitely show you guys. There's a bunch of different live cam views. We have some on I-95. We have some on I-26. And one near Ladson. We should have something near Ladson. Let's check it out. Again, Ladson is currently where we do have an ongoing tornado warning. Stay in your safe place, away from windows on the lowest floor possible if you're included in that tornado warning. Here's a live view, kind of a blurry one, but this is a live view here. Pretty dark skies again in Ladson right now, and trees are starting to sway a little bit. Again, just gusty winds, nothing like crazy there. Again, that tornado warning goes for another few minutes. This one possibly could get canceled as well. I'm not seeing nearly as much rotation over Ladson. It's much broader than before. Here's what the storm looks like. The storm over here near Kelsey Cove Landing, though, looks way more intense. Obviously, the rotation isn't tight confined and, you know, as a tornado right now, but it very well could drop a tornado at any time. It is definitely pretty impressive right now what this looks like. In terms of its stronger, the velocities are stronger than the other storms that we've had over to the east. And in addition to this, it's more discrete. So when we have these more discrete cells, even with hurricanes and tropical storms on the outskirts, when we have these little discrete cells, they very well could produce a better tornado risk and potentially even a bit of a stronger tornado if they're able to develop. So this one's a little bit more concerning if you're in Holly Ridge and as well as the Givens area or Give Hands area. And again, we'll see if this kind of evolves and is able to intensify. This environment's been kind of hit or miss when it comes to tornadoes. So these very well could produce a tornado. They might not. They might be brief. They might be long. We haven't really seen any tornadoes, at least today, that have lasted more than like 5 or 10 minutes. Just goes pretty much with most of the tropical storms and hurricanes that we see. Pretty sure the longest hurricane or the longest tornado we saw with Hurricane Ian was, I don't know, probably 10 to 15 minutes. So the hurricane's located near Savannah, Georgia. That's where the eye of the hurricane's located. So if you're in Savannah, you're pretty much next to the eye. We will look at that here in a few minutes. When all the tornado warnings are done, I'm going to go over a full forecast and all that sort of stuff. And we'll break down what's going to be happening here because there's still a lot of stuff to break down. I mean, obviously, it's winding down, but there's still impacts to come. And a lot of people in South Carolina and North Carolina, we have a lot of followers from these areas that have been asking for the last several days, what's going to happen in my location? I'm going to tell you in a few minutes because I've been able to really get through South Carolina and North Carolina very efficiently. But luckily, the impacts will not be as bad as Florida. But storm surge is still a big concern. Flooding rains is the one concern that Florida didn't really have. So there will be flooding rainfall here across a large chunk of South and North Carolina from these impacts. So again, we'll break down and kind of unravel all those details for you here in just a few minutes when all these tornado warnings are done. Last tornado warning over near Ladson is expired. Rotation is a little bit weaker now over the Kelsey Cove Landing area. Again, this is your rotation here. So overall, still, I mean, it's there. Is it strong? Not really. It is a little bit dull in terms of the green color, which means that the velocities are a little bit weaker going away from the storm, but we are going toward the radar, excuse me, but there's still rotation there near the Kelsey Cove Landing. Again, they'll be going toward Holly Ridge, South Carolina over the next several minutes. So stay in your safe place for the next few minutes as that continues to move off to the north. We'll go back to that in a second. Here's a more zoomed out look at what currently Hurricane Idalia is doing. So this is the center. It's down here just west of Savannah. Wind gusts in this area have been ranging from about 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. The latest from the 2 p.m. update is that winds were sustained at 75 miles per hour. So this is still a Category 1 hurricane, but obviously that could change at any time. Here's a cyclone port as well. This is in parts of eastern Georgia. This is pretty far away from the eye, but you can still see there's gusty winds here. Some tropical storm force wind gusts at least in this area. The American flag here is waving. At least that gives you an idea of the wind as well as the trees swaying. A lot of rain on the ground, and that's a big concern here on the northern side of where the eye is. There's going to be tons of rainfall over the next several hours, and that's going to cause the threat for flooding, and that's why we have had flash flood warnings over the last several hours spanning from Tallahassee all the way back through the Statesboro area, and more could be issued as we go later into today. So there will definitely be more of those flash flood warnings as we go later, as this continues to go into South Carolina. Again, there's a chance for several inches of rain. We're talking the threat of upwards of 8 to 10 inches of rain in some isolated locations. And again, I'll break down more details on that after this tornado warning. I have a lot of forecast graphics that we have to get to, but we start out this live stream with tornado warnings. So it is a little bit different right now. We didn't have really any tornado warnings last night, which, you know, we were live for 5 hours and we had how many we had 1 tornado warning. That was it. And we've already had 3 and we've been live for like, I don't know, 25 minutes. Big difference from yesterday. By the way, thank you, Furry, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Velocities. Will it refuel once it hits water again, or will it fizzle out? It probably won't really re-strengthen much. If it does, I don't really see it going back to like a category 2 or 3 hurricane, in my opinion. So I don't think it's going to be doing that, but it very well could potentially, you know, stay around at least a strong tropical storm, maybe a low-end category 1 hurricane. Right now, the National Hurricane Center keeps it at a tropical storm out to sea. So that's what we're looking at as of right now. But again, right now it's a category 1 hurricane. It'll go into a strong tropical storm through South Carolina, eventually go out to sea, still as a tropical storm, but I don't foresee this re-strengthening a whole lot out to sea. Here's the latest radar scan, by the way. Rotation's a little bit more disorganized than before. Again, this very well could still drop a tornado. It's going to be on the southern side here. There was a small secondary area of rotation on the last scan that I circled at the last second there. There was actually a little small secondary spot of rotation that might have actually dropped a brief tornado. It's not out of the question. It was actually a little bit tight. I can't really pause this, but there was a small area of rotation there. Now it's here, it's weakened, but there was a tiny area of rotation there. So I wouldn't rule out a potential for maybe a brief tornado out of that spot. But again, at this point, it does seem to be a little bit weaker than before. No problem, Harry. Let me check and see if we have any other live cam views here on this storm. Yeah, we do have some live cams. See if we have anything. Here's the latest radar scan. Not seeing anything in terms of organized rotation anymore, but if there is still rotating, I mean, there is definitely rotation, but it's not really organized at this point. It's going to be near the Give Hands area going toward Holly Ridge. So again, if you're in Holly Ridge, stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. Again, if you're included in this ongoing tornado warning. This does go for a few more minutes. Here's a view of the bridge in South Carolina. This is on I-526, located over closer to Charleston. And there's some traffic backed up here. Again, you can see the marsh in the background. I'm pretty sure it's low tide. Gusty winds a little bit. And that'll continue here for the next little while. We have a lot of different live cams, so we're going to kind of fiddle with those a little bit and see if we can see anything. But we have also some closer to the coast as well. And we should have a good view of the storm surge as well. We had a live cam on the Ben Sawyer Bridge, and it actually went out. But that would have been a really good view of the storm surge once it started coming in, because there is definitely going to be some storm surge on the East Coast today, including areas back over near Charleston. And there we very well could see a couple of feet of storm surge, 2 to 4 feet, even up to 5 feet of storm surge is now forecasted. We're going to watch this storm for one more scan. If there's not a whole lot happening, I'm going to go through the forecast. But if it's still rotating to a decent amount, then we'll go back to it, or we'll stay on it. But I do want to get through the forecast and all that sort of stuff for tonight. I know, Roy. I don't like doing that. Well, let me see if I can do it real quick. Yeah, here's the rotation right here. So, just east-northeast of Norman Landing at about 358. You'll see that little, like, small red and green couplet there. It's very tiny. That could have possibly been at least some rotation, maybe a brief tornado, but in the last few scans, it's become a bit more disorganized. So, again, we'll see what happens here in the next scan, but it did seem as if that was possibly there a brief tornado, but yeah, no correlation coefficient drop. Which, again, the correlation coefficient gives us an idea on if there is an ongoing, debris being lifted up into the atmosphere with an ongoing couplet of rotation. That's usually what it's used for. Sometimes it's used for hail as well. How long is Charleston area prone for tornadoes today? Really through 10 o'clock. That's pretty much the timeline. You'll be having a chance all the way through 10. Here is the latest radar scan. The rotation's weaker now. Bottom right of your screen is a live view out of the bridge. I'm going to have this up a lot. Also, we have another live cam view out of Cape Coral. This is a live cam view right now, and the water was actually just a little bit above that wall there that you see. It was above it earlier. There is still some storm surge in this area, but it is starting to retreat a bit more. It was high tide, so we started to see water go over it a little bit, but it is definitely starting to retreat. So that's out of Cape Coral, Florida. Things are definitely getting better there. Obviously not getting much worse. There is still a chance for storm surge, though, across the west coast of Florida for the next few hours. All right, let's go to some of the forecast graphics, give you an idea of what's to expect here throughout the rest of tonight and what you can expect, what we'll be talking about, storm surge, tornadoes, flooding, rains, all that sort of stuff we're going to break down right now. So this is what it looks like on the infrared imagery. Again, your circulation is going to be located basically over just west of Savannah by about, 20, 30 miles. It's not very far away from it. And if you look at the top right of your screen real quick, you might notice that's actually Franklin. So you barely see it. It's really hard to see, but that's Franklin up there at the top right of your screen. But this is currently Hurricane Idalia. Yes, it is still a hurricane, believe it or not. This is moving off to the northeast. It's going through South Carolina, and it is still producing the threat for flooding rains, high winds, perhaps even a few tornadoes. This is another view over the last few hours, and you can kind of see the evolution of it as it went from southeast Georgia now into parts of South Carolina. Dumping rain, that red is going to represent higher cloud tops, meaning heavier rainfall and all that sort of stuff. Here's Franklin, a little update on it. Again, it is still a Category 2 hurricane now. Sustained winds of 105 miles per hour, impacting Bermuda as we speak with tropical storm force winds, but it is going out to sea. We're not really going to be talking about that one much more. Here's what Idalia looks like. Huge area, by the way, that we're seeing tropical storm force wind gusts. That goes all the way back through Charleston, South Carolina. For southern South Carolina, back near Georgia, into parts of even northern Florida. This goes all the way down to Daytona Beach, even possibly closer to Palm Bay. We are still seeing some tropical storm force winds. Hurricane force winds are in a very tiny area that are probably just moving west of Savannah right now. As this goes out to sea, it will be a tropical storm. It's not expected to go back into a hurricane. What we need to watch for next as we go past Thursday is the impacts that this could make toward Bermuda as we go closer to the late weekend and as well as into early next week. Tropical storm force winds, flooding rains, and some storm surge may occur over there. Again, this is not expected to become a hurricane again. It could, but it's a low chance. A lot of the computer models are saying that this will not go back toward Florida. I know there's been some rumors about that. It's pretty unlikely at this point that this will go right back toward Florida, but obviously it is still a chance, but outlier models not really existing with that anymore. Here's a storm surge forecast for the rest of today. Notice there is still storm surge on the west coast of Florida. Tampa Bay still around 2 to 4 feet for the next few hours. This was as of the 2 p.m. update. We'll have another update on this in a few hours, or about an hour or so. But you'll notice again, this is the area of where we're still seeing 5 to 8 feet of storm surge back over near Cedar Key, which Cedar Key has had a bunch of things wiped out there. It's obviously been pretty catastrophic for a lot of those areas, as well as back into parts of the Florida Peninsula that also, or Florida Panhandle, that also includes areas near Perry, Florida, which have seen some pretty substantial impacts as well from high winds. Notice though, for the rest of the evening tonight, we are still watching for 3 to 5 feet of storm surge from St. Catherine Sound, which is back near Brunswick and Savannah, all the way back through South Sante River. So there will be some significant storm surge tonight, still up and down the coastline. It's not major storm surge, but it's definitely moderate storm surge there along the immediate coastline. Obviously, if you're on the immediate coastline, you might want to consider going inland a little bit. If you're like, you know, just kind of look in the National Hurricane Center map because it'll give you an idea of what to expect with their storm surge map. But this will be the area, again, that we're looking at 3 to 5 feet of storm surge for tonight. From mouth of St. Mary's River back through the St. Catherine's Sound, that we're looking at 2 to 4 feet, so in parts of eastern and southern Georgia coastline, and then from the Flagler-Volusia County line back into St. Mary's River, that's where we're looking at 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. 2 to 4 feet also possible near the Beaufort Inlet and back through the Ocracoke Inlet tonight. And that also goes into a pretty big bay there. 1 to 3 feet across the board elsewhere. Here's the spaghetti models. Again, the spaghetti models are basically saying no way, no how to it going back toward Florida now. There was some computer models showing that. It looks like that some of these mid-latitude dynamics will be able to bring this back out to sea and perhaps even going up possibly closer to Canada, maybe near Nova Scotia. So we'll have to watch that long term. But again, this is by, 4 days from now. And 4 to 5 days from now, it's going to be basically over Bermuda. It's going to really slow down in the Atlantic Ocean. And luckily, this is not slowing down now, because if it was slowing down now, we would be talking about some substantial flooding rains across the Carolinas. It is slowing down, or will start to slow down a little bit as it goes into the Atlantic, but it's not going to really slow down until it gets closer to Bermuda. So good news there. At least this isn't turning into a situation where we're talking about 10 to 20 inches of rain, because that would be really bad. Here's the overall intensity guide as well for this hurricane over the next few days. Again, it is probably going to be a tropical storm for the long term. I'm not expecting this to really regain its strength into a hurricane. Only 1 or 2 computer models bring this back to a Category 1 hurricane after it gets through the Carolinas. All right, here's the overall look at the future in terms of what to expect here in terms of the future radar, wind gusts, all that sort of stuff. So storms will continue to come off the coast from the Atlantic Ocean, moving into Myrtle Beach, moving into Charleston, Florence. This will continue for the next several hours, so 4 to 5 o'clock. We're watching for these storms to produce that tornado risk, especially on the eastern side. Notice this is where your eye is. The eye will be over Savannah here pretty soon, where the center of this hurricane is located. Eventually, about 8 to 9 o'clock, this continues to move off to the north and northeast. Notice all of this heavy rainfall near Florence, Myrtle Beach, Columbia. This will continue to dump inches of rain over the next several hours, and we very well could see some flooding concerns really ramp up there. Overnight tonight, the center moves out to the east. It might be over Myrtle Beach by the morning hours, and eventually, as we go into tomorrow, rain is done. It's going to be a little bit drier, and Savannah as well, probably a bit warmer, honestly. In terms of the wind gusts, this is what we're looking at in terms of wind gusts for the next several hours. Savannah, peak wind gust between now and about 6 o'clock, about 45, 50 miles per hour. Notice Statesboro, possibly upwards of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Savannah even could get upwards of 60, we'll see. Charleston winds could get upwards of 60 as well as we go into the overnight hours. Florence as well, up there in terms of wind gusts. Overnight tonight, those winds move through Myrtle Beach. Still pretty up there. I mean, we could look at wind gusts off the coast, upwards of 60 to 70, but in Myrtle Beach particularly, it'll probably be a little bit lesser unless you're on the immediate coastline. For those back up in parts of North Carolina and Virginia, I am not anticipating many impacts up here in terms of heavy rainfall. But if you're in southern and eastern parts of North Carolina, heavy rain is likely. So you'll be looking at some flooding rains. But overall, the concern for tornadoes is much lower. The tornado risk will be mainly on the immediate coastline near like Jacksonville and Wilmington. And then overall, going into late tomorrow afternoon, things will start to fizzle out. Rainfall totals here across the Carolinas back through Georgia. This is including what we've already seen from this morning in terms of like about 8 a.m. this morning till now. So, and this also goes for the future. Again, notice this huge path here that we're looking at for 4 to 10 inches of rainfall. Florence, South Carolina is forecasted to get near 10 inches of rain. So that's obviously very significant. Make sure you're staying weather aware. A lot of flooding rain is to come with this system. And obviously upwards of 10 inches of rain can definitely be pretty substantial. It definitely could cause some issues on the roadways. Prone areas to flooding, like low-lying areas, are definitely going to be a concern for this with how much rainfall we're going to see over the next several hours. The coastline will get a little bit of a break from the flooding rain. The reason why is because the eye is going to be basically going over you, and the heaviest of the rainfall is staying on the northern side. So as that northern side moves off to the north and east, all that rain will dump over there. There will still be some showers and storms here, but it's going to be more scattered throughout the day, more on and off rain. This will be constant rain for those in the immediate path there of that heavy rainfall. All right, the tornado warning has been canceled, by the way, for the time being. We have more rotation going towards Georgetown, so we'll be watching those pretty closely as they move off to the north. And again, the eye of this right now is over near Savannah, Georgia. Here's the satellite imagery of currently Hurricane Idalia. Let's go over to this. I'm going to go back 75 frames, so in case you didn't see it this morning, this is the eye back down in Florida. You'll see it probably at some point at around 7, so we might have gone back too far, but you can see how it made landfall earlier this morning. Unfortunately, the satellite imagery wasn't working this morning because, again, we had, you know, it's dark outside, so can't see the satellite, but we can see the infrared imagery. The infrared imagery is a little bit better of a view of this, so that's what we're looking at with that. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to leave those in the chat. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Again, we'll keep you posted with the latest on Hurricane Idalia as it does continue to evolve here across parts of the Carolinas. This live stream, by the way, will probably be about 1 to 2 hours. It's not going to be a super long live stream. I don't see much of a reason to be live for super long today, unless there's multiple tornado warnings. It's a little bit of a different story, but we'll see kind of how everything evolves today. But flooding is obviously the greatest concern at this point for those inland areas. Along the coastline, the greatest concern is storm surge. The tornado risk is kind of that secondary concern, but it's obviously still something to watch out for. Make sure you have a tornado action plan in place, have multiple ways to receive tornado warnings, and that's really the bigger concern today. Here's that confirmed waterspout report, by the way, by Emergency Management. This was the confirmed tornado at the top of this live stream. This actually occurred back over near Foley Beach. 2 waterspouts reported moving ashore in Foley Beach between 1700 block and the old lighthouse. So this was a confirmed waterspout, 2 of them coming ashore here, and it doesn't seem like it impacted very many areas. Looks like we have some homes right here that possibly were impacted by that, but it looks like it was a very small in terms of population area. Luckily, because obviously this is really close to a very highly populated Charleston, South Carolina. Luckily, those did not last very long by the looks of it, but those were waterspouts again that came ashore as brief tornadoes most likely, and they fizzled out after that. So some good news there in terms of the overall, how long those at least lasted. But yeah. I love your videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. Could it circle back toward Florida? I'm not expecting this to circle back toward Florida. The dynamics that we have here, so this is kind of the dynamics that we'll have over the next several days. So we'll have a trough that's going to be a little bit faster than this with the mid-latitude. So we're basically have this low pressure system, which again is a hurricane right now. This is going to move into the ocean. This will move faster, but there's going to be some steering that will allow this to kind of sit a little bit, and it'll probably end up going back up to the north or perhaps just continuing east. The chances of this circling back toward Florida is very low. It would really have to require a whole lot of churning with this system to go back this way. We would have to like have a high pressure system all of a sudden go down here in the southeast United States and somehow pull this thing back toward Florida, and I don't see that happening at this point. So yeah, I don't think it'll go back toward Florida at this point, but it's still something to watch for. But most computer models are back to the story of this going out to sea, and we're done with it. But by the way, this is the last Hurricane Idalia live stream that we'll have, probably, unless this does go back to the United States. So I guess that's some good news. We get some relief after today, and yeah, it's been a lot of live streaming recently. So very, very, very busy. My lights are flickering in Jacksonville. Which Jacksonville are we talking about? Florida, or are we talking about South Carolina or North Carolina? I think there's Jacksonville, North Carolina up here, but not really a whole lot happening up here. Just some rain right now. The storms that are near Charleston right now, again, have a better chance of producing maybe an isolated tornado. Let's go back over to the live radar feed here. Check it out. Yeah, I'm not seeing any crazy rotation right now with any of these storms that are coming ashore here in the next few minutes. There is a special marine warning that's south of Georgetown, so we very well could see a tornado warning for the McClellanville area, maybe south of Georgetown as that comes ashore, because there is definitely rotation that's located right here, but it's overall, it doesn't seem to be too intense yet, but we'll have to watch that. Again, the tornado risk does exist all the way until 10 o'clock tonight. This tornado watch goes until 10 p.m. Eastern time. This is the tornado watch. Let me just take off the, take off this. Maybe I can go to this and turn off the radar. There we go. Here's the tornado watch. So if you're in this pink box that extends from eastern parts of Georgia back through southern North Carolina, you are included in the tornado watch, and it goes until 10 o'clock tonight. Again, there will be a chance for a few tornadoes are likely. I don't expect a strong tornado with this activity, but it's still not out of the question. So that's pretty much what we're looking at in terms of the threats. Over in Walterboro, South Carolina, there are reports of trees and power lines down on Mount Carmel Road. Carmel Road. Let's go to the power outage map as well. Here's the power outages here across the board. This does include parts of Florida as well. So I'm just going to kind of... This is from poweroutage.us. Look at the amount of power outages. Pretty much everybody in Taylor County is without power. Madison County, Jefferson County is pretty much all without power. Look at these power outages. This is just horrible. Literally everybody in this area is without power for the most part. Lafayette, maybe 20% still have power somehow. Leon County, a little bit more without power there, about 25% without power. Wakulla County, about half without power. Baker County, about 25% without power. Union County, about 33% without power. Levy County, 50% without power. Tampa Bay was lucky that there wasn't a whole lot of power outages. Again, this was fortunate enough to go to the north, because notice there's only about 5% without power, which is way better than, you know, some of these other areas that are with 100% without power. Like some of these numbers here, like if you just look at them, Taylor County, I mean, there's only 400 people right now that have power in that county. Jefferson County, there's about 14 people with power. And Madison County, 10 people with power. That's it. And that's out of almost 12,000 people that are being tracked on this website. That's crazy. So pretty much when you do the math here, that's about 3% are without power in Florida. But obviously it's a dense area here in terms of who has power and who doesn't. Obviously, like areas like Orlando and Orange County and back over here near Panama City, a bit more populated. Tallahassee luckily got narrowly missed for the most part in terms of the widespread power outages, but still about 25-30% without power. That's a pretty big number. And Georgia's starting to get up there as well. This is Georgia. Holy cow. Yeah, I mean, this is what we're talking about. Power outages are extremely likely over the next several hours for a lot of these areas. This is horrible for Georgia, too. I mean, Georgia's well up there. Let's zoom into this. Here's a better view. Again, Georgia, all these southern counties, pretty much all without power for the most part. 90% plus in those dark red counties without power. There's some sporadic other counties without power, but man, that's horrible. All those areas that, again, were in the immediate landfall range where the hurricane force winds were happening. A lot of those areas without power. Now, where the eye is now, it's basically here. So we are still seeing power outages in these areas, but they are becoming more scattered, so they're not, you know, widespread anymore, but they are still there. And even back over near McIntosh County, that's a lot of power outages right there. Approximately 80% without power in that county, and that is right on the coastline here. In Clinton County, about 50% without power, so, you know, those are pretty big numbers right now. South Carolina, we don't have very many power outages at all, so South Carolina is kind of the one exception right now in terms of power outages in these 3 states, but those will probably start to ramp up over the next several hours as this does continue to move inland, or not move inland, but move into South Carolina in terms of its eye, because the eye of it right now is located right about over Savannah. Yeah, the eye is like right here. We got a better color here, but that's the eye right now of the hurricane. Again, this is still a hurricane as of now, but obviously this very well could be back to a tropical storm by our next update. Here are the velocities around this. So again, we've got some high winds still in the Statesboro area, Springfield and whatnot. There are some high winds. Those velocities are at least going to give you an idea of what we're looking at in terms of the wind speeds, but it's not going to give you really a full representation. The brighter colors will represent your higher wind speeds, but yeah, again, this entire area here still dealing with the heavy rainfall. It's very, I mean, it's not slow moving. This is still moving to the north at like 20 miles per hour, but it is still dumping rain. This entire area right here is just dumping rainfall near Statesboro and west of Beaufort and south of Augusta. I mean, all these areas, heavy rainfall, and this thing is moving so slow right here that it's just going to continue to dump rain and cause flooding. And that's, again, why we have flash flood warnings in effect for some of these areas. 2 to 5 inches of rain have fallen from Idalia. This is back over near Bryan County, for example, as well as Candler County, Evans County. A lot of those areas do not have power right now, but more rain is obviously expected. So, yeah, a lot of rain's falling right now. And again, the rainfall totals, let me go to the computer model here and show you for the rainfall totals here, because that's a pretty big deal here. Here's the rainfall totals, where I can find it. There we go. But here's the forecasted rainfall totals throughout the rest of the next several hours. And this includes what we've seen since 12 o'clock, so it's pretty much over the last few hours. But there's a chance that some areas, like Florence, for example, in South Carolina, 4 to 6, maybe 8 inches of rain will fall there. Back near Wilmington, upwards of 10 inches of rain. I mean, we're still talking about some substantial rainfall. And this computer model actually indicates maybe a pocket of upwards of a foot of rain, but that should stay near the bay, if not off coast, but still. We'll have a pretty long tracked area here in that red shaded area, very heavy rainfall. And again, that's anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of rain. So definitely very concerning. Max, what's going to happen when this hurricane goes back over the water? It will probably just, I mean, it will maintain its intensity for the most part. Let me take this off. I'll show you the track. The satellite for now. But this is what we're looking at in terms of its long-term track and where it'll be heading. It is going to be a tropical storm in sea. It's probably not going to become a hurricane again. You'll notice it will start to weaken out a little bit here in the western Atlantic, around 50 miles per hour, and it'll go toward Bermuda as a stronger-sided tropical storm, sustained winds near 60 miles per hour. But one thing to note is that a lot of computer models have been showing, hey, this is going to go right back toward Florida. None of them have been in the last 12 hours. It was a very brief little stint that the GFS model began this whole hype train with, and now it's gone. So that's a good news there, that we'll probably not see this go back to the United States. But if it does, for whatever reason, start to backtrack toward Florida, it would probably be tropical storm impacts. We would not be talking about a repeat hurricane, most likely, depending on the timing. The timing's pretty crucial if that did happen. But the odds of it going back to the United States, I would say, are less than 5%. So I'm not very confident that's going to be coming toward the United States again. So we will pretty much be done with Idalia after this. It will impact Bermuda, but it'll definitely be not nearly as bad after this. Here's a live cam, by the way, back over in Jefferson, Georgia. This is a live cam right now. GFS model always gets things going. How's it going, Brady? And the wind in Charleston feels like 7 miles per hour. Actually, funny enough, I was in the track of the hurricane today, and I went for a drive earlier today just to kind of see what happened and whatnot, and the wind was actually pretty gusty. I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect the winds to be super high where I was, but they were pretty windy. And we did see a few inches of rain. It was interesting. But luckily it wasn't too bad. I know a lot of areas got hit really hard in Florida. Some people got hit way harder than others. I was fortunate that I was not in the track of the dead center of this thing where, you know, the impacts are the worst. But I know a lot of you may have been. A lot of you that are watching probably were not are probably not in Florida, where power outages are like widespread, because I don't know why really many of them would be watching this live stream, because you're pretty much without power and you want to save the battery and all that sort of stuff on those devices. But there was some substantial power outages in Florida. Again, we were talking about like 100% without power where this made landfall, which was expected. But I have friends in Florence, South Carolina that said they already lost power and say some roads are getting bad. Really? Already in Florence? I'm kind of surprised. I mean, not by the roads, but power. I'm surprised they've already lost power there. The rain's obviously pretty heavy up there, or moderate to heavy. A couple of heavier bands a little while ago. Let's check out the velocities here. Maybe you got some high winds possibly with this system that just went through. Yeah, it looks like there might have been even a brief tornado near Florence. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Oh, these are a few. This was a few scans ago. Yeah, right now Florence County, 1,330 people are without power out of 80,000 that are being tracked on poweroutages.us. So, yeah, I mean, it might have been from one of these brief little kinks that popped up, maybe a brief tornado. But luckily, it doesn't seem to be anything too far beyond that. But obviously, we do have still have a tornado risk all the way through 10 o'clock tonight. We are still watching some of these storms coming ashore. Near the Isle of Palms, there is currently a special marine warning. Perhaps a waterspout could come ashore here. Let's see if we can get a live cam of this. Because we do have live cams here on the Isle of Palms. Here's a live cam right now on the Isle of Palms. It's going to be a bit blurry, but this is a current live cam of where this is going to be coming ashore. So we actually might see maybe a brief waterspout come through here. So we'll go back to this. I'll have it on my other monitor in case something does end up popping up there. Oh, here's a better view right here. This is a perfect view. The wind's picking up here. This will be a pretty good view of this. This is, again, a potential waterspout that might be coming ashore here in a minute, but the wind's picking up. You can actually see the evacuation route sign right here. It's actually kind of funny. Yeah, this is currently over in the Isle of Palms area near Sullivan Island. Yeah, there's only isolated power outages, like very isolated in Florence, South Carolina, but they're much worse in Georgia and as well as Florida. But South Carolina isn't too bad right now, but they'll probably pick up over the next several hours. These are all traffic cams from the transportation in South Carolina. We're going to keep a close eye on that. Again, there is currently a possible waterspout that'll be coming ashore here, so we might have a view of it. This is on this bridge right here near Mount Pleasant. That's where it is. Try to get a better color here, but right in here, that bridge. And we might have a view of something, but we'll see. Again, that is currently a storm that could produce maybe a brief water spout as it goes toward the Isle of Palms, maybe a brief tornado as it comes inland. The immediate coastline's most at risk for these like water spouts that are being produced out of these storms to perhaps produce a brief tornado once it comes ashore. So you're like right in the immediate Isle of Palms area on that coastline, you definitely have that chance for a water spout to come ashore, maybe picking up some debris. And again, this wouldn't be like a catastrophic sort of situation where we have like an EF5 tornado, but it would be like maybe some branches being lifted up, maybe a tree falling down or two, possibly some power outages, that sort of thing. Basically be a brief pickup of winds is what we'll basically say. All right, let me check and see if we have any other updates from the National Hurricane Center. There was a tornado in Goose Creek, South Carolina. And it was quite a crazy tornado. This is from earlier. A car was flipped over during the tornado as well. There's a video that is retweeted on our Twitter page because I can't show it on here. Check it out on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. It is actually a really crazy video though. It's like 10 seconds long, but it's crazy. There was a tornado over in Goose Creek, South Carolina. And this is a legit video. This is not one of those ones that, it's a fake TikTok or whatever. By the way, next National Hurricane Center update is at 5 o'clock. That's in approximately 30 minutes. So we'll, obviously, we'll be live for that for sure. Because again, I do think this will probably be back down to a tropical storm by that point. So we'll see. In case you want a direct link to what I just retweeted, I'll link my Twitter page as well. Are they still forecasting this to reform as a hurricane in the Atlantic? I don't think anybody's been forecasting this to reform as a hurricane. Because unless somebody else randomly did, but I've not been forecasting this to become a hurricane. I know the National Hurricane Center hasn't been. Could it? Maybe, but it's probably going to be like a low-end Category 1 hurricane if it did re-strengthen as a category or hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean. And that would be closer to Bermuda. That would not be impacting the United States. Because over the next few days, we're looking at this in terms of its track. This is the track, but it's going to weaken down to a tropical storm. I highly doubt this is still a hurricane right now, but we're going to find out here pretty soon from the National Hurricane Center. The pressure, by the way, is down to approximately 981 millibars. It's probably going to be up, I should say, 981 millibars. It's probably going to increase over the next few hours, but notice once this goes offshore, it'll be a tropical storm with sustained winds around 60 to 65 miles per hour. It could even be a little bit weaker than that. We'll see. Just south of Wilmington, and then back over here, it'll be eventually by, today is 30th, so tomorrow night, it'll be a category, or still a tropical storm, sustained winds of 60. It'll stay that way until it gets closer to Bermuda. It might weaken a little bit in between, but it should still stay pretty much around a middle grade tropical storm as it goes towards Bermuda, and that'll arrive sometime around the 3rd or 4th of September. So it's still multiple days out. So that's what we're basically looking at in terms of the long-term track. But this will still impact the United States for the upcoming 24 hours. If you consider rip currents and high waves along the coastline to still be impacts, then that will last probably for the next few days, because this thing will start to slow down in the Atlantic Ocean, which actually is better that it's not slowing down here, because if this was slowing down over the Carolinas, we'd be talking about a catastrophic flooding event. But luckily, this is moving just fast enough to the point where there will be several inches of rain, especially on the northern side of this, where all this heavy bands of rain is near Statesboro. But if this was moving slower, it would be way worse. I mean, it would be way, way worse than it is. So we have some good news with this, but obviously there's a lot of bad news with what's happened in Florida. It's been a lot of catastrophic impacts down there in Florida in terms of storm surge and whatnot. As of 2:50 p.m. in the St. George Island area in Florida, pictures of a Bayside storm surge flooding in St. George Island. So there's still storm surge ongoing over there. There's a buoy. There's a couple buoys in that area. The buoy in Apalachicola, estimating winds still around 20 miles per hour or so in terms of gusts. And we still have some storm surge down here, even in Tampa Bay. It's definitely getting lesser than before, but there is still storm surge there. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat. And actually, we have a good question. Alexis is asking, will the moon continue to affect the tides as storm goes into the Carolina beaches? So the super blue moon that we have tonight, the blue super moon, I keep calling it the super blue moon. It's called the blue super moon, will be increasing the tides tonight by about 1 to 2 feet. And that goes across the board today, tomorrow, the next couple days. We will continue to see that. And this is what the blue super moon, this is kind of like an edited photo, but this is basically what it kind of looks like. But this is what we'll be looking at, a full moon tonight. And that's going to increase the tides by 1 to 2 feet. So at peak of high tide, that's going to be obviously way worse for storm surge. But again, the peak of storm surge across the West Coast is 3 to 5 feet. Let me go to, let's go over to here real quick. And this is the storm surge map. This is as of 2 p.m. The West Coast of Florida is still dealing with storm surge right now, especially near Cedar Key. Cedar Key's been wiped out, or not wiped out, but there's been a lot of buildings and stuff like that damaged heavily, and possibly even a couple buildings wiped out. And then back over across the East Coast here, again, upwards of 5 feet of storm surge is possible tonight, which isn't catastrophic unless you're along the immediate coastline, but it still will cause some damage for sure. So again, this blue supermoon tonight will definitely be up there. That Goose Creek video is crazy. That's a couple miles down the street from me. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. That is really crazy. I mean, I don't know what the rating will be, but I'm guessing it's probably at least an EF1, if not an EF2, because that was pretty strong winds. If a car's getting flipped over like that, it would have to be like a pancake to get flipped over. That's pretty strong winds if it's flipping over a car. A truck is a little bit more understandable, but a full-blown car, that's just crazy. I like this channel. Thank you. How do you like it? The live cam at the bottom right, by the way, is currently in the Isle of Palms area. And this is kind of on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. And that is where this eye is currently heading toward. And then this right here is another live view. This is out of the Cape Coral area. And right now, the storm surge is retreating at this point. It was a little bit above that wall beforehand, but it's definitely retreating. Cape Coral, by the way, was the area that Ian made landfall in last year. So, luckily, it wasn't as bad there this time around. But that made landfall last year right in Cape Coral. There was some substantial storm surge there last year. I mean, that thing was super high. Is Vince live? I have no clue. He might be, but pretty sure he's doing some damage videos and stuff like that. How's Wilmington, North Carolina looking? If you're on the immediate coastline, again, there will be some storm surge tonight, but the main concern will be the heavy rainfall. As of right now, there is some showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder going toward you. Tornado risk also exists through the evening, so be mindful of that. But overall for Wilmington, it's primarily just going to be heavy rainfall. And right now, it's very light rain, so it's not going to accumulate very quickly. But once you start getting some of these more moderate bands of rain, that'll start to pick up the rainfall totals a little bit quicker. Yes, I know why they call it the supermoon. I'm well aware. I know how close it is to the Earth. I'm pretty sure about 250,000 or 230,000 miles away from Earth tonight. Which the supermoon, again, is how close it is to the Earth. It's basically, we had one earlier this month on August 1st. There's another one happening on the 30th. But basically, it's basically pulling, it basically pulls the water more. That raises the tides. How's it going, Matthew? Friendly reminder, by the way, if you're just tuning in, make sure to like the stream. It does help get this out to more people. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We are actually about 500 subscribers away from 75,000, which is just absolutely insane. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Again, we'll keep you posted with the latest on all the tropics over the next several days, and if anything changes here, I'll be live here for a little while as well. And videos are to come. We're gonna have videos, updates on other stuff. Hopefully, we've been talking about the Hurricane Idalia for the last like 5, 6, 7 days, and I'm hoping that we can start to talk about more of what's happening in the central United States over the upcoming days, which I don't think there's gonna be much, but maybe some sort of pattern change is coming at some point. Been a very, very, very focused around Idalia, which obviously has been very catastrophic to many areas, but luckily it's almost over in terms of the current impacts that are being dealt, but what's not over is the rescue and cleanup effort. That's gonna be going on for days. So this thing it's really not done at all in terms of that. Here's a live cam view, by the way, again in Jefferson, Georgia. But I'm not really seeing anything too crazy as we go into this upcoming weekend across the United States. It'll be fairly dry. By next week, we could start to see some activity pick up, but overall it looks to be pretty dry over the next 7 days across most of the United States. Yeah, Vince does check on a lot of people, which is awesome. This hurricane, by the way, did officially become a Category 4 hurricane. In case you haven't already heard, this was a Category 4 hurricane just before landfall. It made landfall, though, as a Category 3 hurricane. So, it was expected to make landfall as a Category 4. It made landfall as a Category 3. The wind difference was 5 miles per hour, so if that makes a major difference, I mean, I guess you can basically say it wasn't a Category 4 hurricane, but on landfall, which it wasn't, but, I mean, 5 miles per hour is such a minor difference. So, 130 versus 125, it's not going to make or break really anything. Maybe like a small bit more of damage, but it wouldn't have been much. But this is the evolution again. This is a hurricane. The eye made landfall right here, just south of Perry, which I kind of saw coming last night, at least, when we were talking about it. Perry was an area that seemed to be a pretty favorable spot for a direct landfall, and unfortunately made literally a direct landfall there near Perry. I know we had some viewers in Perry last night that were watching, and they were, they're asking like, should I evacuate, all that sort of stuff, and I highly doubt any of them are watching the stream right now, because the entire county right now is pretty much without power. There's only like a handful of power still, but hopefully they're all right, because Perry got hit really hard, really hard. Unfortunately, and again, that's near Route 98, just south of there. Nothing better than a late night. Yeah, last night was a late night. We were live until about 2 in the morning. A little bit after that, and I didn't go to bed until 3. I didn't get up to until almost noontime, so I was not getting up early. I slept in a pretty good amount last night. It felt good. After all the live streams we've done recently, tonight will definitely be my longest sleep, because I need it. We've been live a ton recently. It might not feel like it. I mean, in terms of total streaming hours, including the tornado outbreak that we covered back in Michigan the other day, we've been live for 8, 12, 14, 19. After this live stream, we've been live for about 22 to 24 hours over the past approximately 6 days, maybe 7 days. Yeah, last 6 days. We've been live for approximately 22, 24 hours, which, again, might not seem like a lot, but there's a lot of preparation that goes into these live streams. I don't just go live. I do things behind the scenes. do some observations, try to figure out what's happening. We set up a forecast too. A lot of these live streams, I set up a full forecast for the first 30 minutes. Today's live stream is a bit different since we had tornado warnings, but there's a lot of prep work that goes in these live streams. A lot more than you might think. Mental prep too, making sure I am ready and all that sort of stuff. I don't script anything, so it's just whatever comes from my head. I mean, I had like a notebook this entire time. You might see it. This notebook. Let me see if I just need to make sure it shows in the camera. But I have this notebook, and you'll see some notes on here. But yeah, this is all the different stuff that I had for notes. Just kind of some different stuff, like stuff like Cedar Key with the evacuation stuff. Not really any like scripted stuff. It was just more statistics and other stuff like that that were kind of, maybe something to note for. But that was over the course of a couple streams. I don't have any notes today. They're just from the other day, but a lot of prep that goes into this stuff. Yeah, tonight will be the largest moon for the rest of the year, or the closest the moon will be to for the rest of the year. The largest that the moon will appear to us for the rest of the year. The moon is going to be, let me figure out how far it is. It's 222,000 miles away from Earth tonight. And actually, or not, sorry, 220, yeah, it's 222,000 miles away tonight. So get out and see it. If you're not in any of these areas tonight and you have some clearer skies, go out and see it, Go out and look and see if you can find the supermoon, because it's, again, the next time it's going to happen is 2037. And here's a live view across the entire United States. So if you're nowhere near this hurricane and you're over here, you should have pretty prime conditions. There's not really a whole lot of activity across the other part of the United States. So, but again, 222,000 miles away from Earth. The last supermoon we had was about the same. This will be the closest that the moon is, I'm pretty sure, for the rest of the year. So definitely check it out. It'll appear very large tonight. I might even go try to see it tonight. We'll see. You can also look up your moonrise time on Google. Just look up your town. It's on timeanddate.com, I think. Hey, no problem, Sarah. Yeah, that tornado outbreak that we had in Michigan, that was crazy. That was a really, really, really active, really active event. Here's the water vapor imagery, by the way. There's obviously a ton of water vapor with this. This is a lower level water vapor. But you just see all the water vapor, all that green. Tons of dry air, by the way, out here. Here's Franklin. Franklin still has an eye. Still has it. It's kind of crazy, but it still has an eye, even though it's a strong Category 2 hurricane. So I don't know if it's visible in Canada. I have no clue. You'd have to look it up. I personally do not know. I'm not an astronomy specialist. But in terms of cloud cover, it shouldn't be too bad. It depends on where you are, though, in Canada, because Canada is a pretty big place. I mean, if you're on, like, like Southwest Canada, you're probably gonna have more issues because there's a lot more cloud cover over there. But if you're maybe near like Quebec or something, it might not be as bad. Yeah, there's been a ton of rain in Statesboro. Has it been windy there at all? Because I know this is pretty much right next to where the highest wind speeds are. Let me check out the METAR data here. Is the wind speed. Yeah, these are the measured wind speeds right now around Idalia, and this is all recent. Not seeing anything that crazy, to be honest, for wind speeds. Wind gusts are definitely higher, but Savannah around 35, 40 miles per hour. Charleston maybe near 20 miles per hour. It's actually nothing too crazy right now in terms of winds. At least being estimated here. And then back over in Jefferson again. This is a live cam view, and you can see the wind. It's definitely whipping here. It's gusty, but it's definitely not. I mean, this might be tropical storm force winds at most, but it's nothing really too far beyond that. Even if it's that, but by the looks of it, this looks to be below that. Grand Haven, Michigan over the lake. Yeah, there were some crazy storms the other day. Was the surge 15 feet? I do not know. Cedar Key, I'm pretty sure, was 7 feet. I don't know where the peak of the storm surge was. Does anybody know? I've really not looked too much into the specific storm surge numbers. I've seen a lot of videos on the storm surge, but I know Cedar Key was about 7 feet, I think, was the peak, which still is very catastrophic. I mean, they had a lot of issues still. Hear about the dangerous heat wave? There's been a dangerous heat wave happening all summer long. It's gonna probably continue into the September. It's gonna keep going. Cedar Creek was pretty bad. How was Horseshoe Beach? Was Horseshoe Beach pretty bad? In terms of storm surge? I think Horseshoe Beach was one of the worst places to be for the storm surge. Is this out of Florida now? Florida's not really done, actually. The hurricane, all those impacts are starting to wind down. There is still ongoing storm surge across the coastlines, but there is some storm activity. This is actually coming from some of those outer bands. This could produce maybe some gusty winds, maybe a brief tornado, but the threat of that's pretty low. But there is actually still some storm activity here across Florida. Might be surprising to you, but yeah, these are all still coming from Idalia. This is not from like sea breeze stuff. So it's pretty interesting. That's all still unwinding. Next National Hurricane Center update, by the way, again, is in about 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, we'll probably know if this is still a hurricane or not. I don't think it is. Take your predictions. Is this still a hurricane, or do we think that this is now down to a tropical storm? You know in the chat what you think. I don't think this is any, or at a tropical, I think it's a tropical storm now. We do have a new tornado warning that was just issued. This is near Statesboro. This is on the, like the, basically, eye wall, if you will. Rotation's located near Newington. So seek shelter immediately away from windows, lowest floor possible. This is the ongoing tornado warning. Let's move it off to the north. Again, this is in parts of eastern Georgia, going toward the Kildare area in Oliver. It's a little bit stronger a second ago. But seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in this new tornado warning. Again, that's for Oliver, Newington, Kildare, and as well as the Ardmore area. That's your rotation right there. It is moving off to the north and north-northwest. So stay in your safe place away from windows and lowest floor possible. Yeah, this is going to be just off to the east of Statesboro, by the way. So it's on the, basically, suburbs here of Statesboro. The winds look pretty strong here on radar. They do seem to be at least around 50 to 60. But the rotation there looks to be a little bit more dull. We'll see what happens here. And it's a brand new tornado warning, eastern Georgia. Do we have any new flash flood warning as well? Is there another tornado warning? There's now 2 tornado warnings. We have another one. New tornado warning back over in Georgia. This looks to be very strong rotation by the looks of it. Let's check this one out. This is over near Green Bay. This is the same exact area that has had a tornado warning already. This could very well be a tornado on the ground. Seek shelter if you're in Green Bay, going toward the Wyndham Corner. And strong rotation right now in parts of South Carolina now. Going off to the north. That is a very strong rotation though right now. Moving off to the north. Seek shelter if you're in Green Bay, Wyndham Corner, or Cordville. And again, this could very well drop at any time. If not, it might already be on the ground. Let's see if we have any live cams in this area. We probably don't, but check it out anyways. Yeah, we don't have any live cams, unfortunately, in this specific area. But this is, again, over a bit more of a rural area here in South Carolina, but it is going to be impacting the Green Bay, Wyndham Corner areas. Again, stay in your safe place away from windows on the lowest floor possible. This is for Huger in South Carolina. That's the actual main location here. Population of 2,750. Thank you, Wiki. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the $5. Hope you had some sleep and some rest. I will be tonight, for sure. This is going to be a long sleep tonight, for sure. This is very tight rotation. Again, this very well could be on the ground at any time. This is the strongest rotation that we've seen so far. Try to see if we have any other better radar view. We're in between 2 radar sites, so it's going to be a little bit difficult. But that is very tight rotation. Again, this could very well be on the ground at any time. It very well could be on the ground right now. Again, in Green Bay, South Carolina. Very strong rotation right here, moving off to the north. By the way, this is northeast of Charleston, South Carolina, for reference. It's pretty close to Charleston. It's in the suburbs. I'm going to see if we have any other radar views on my phone here. Yeah, this very well could be on the ground at any time. Stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. If you are included, again, in this tornado warning. Strong rotation right now near Green Bay. Very tight rotation. Moving toward Wyndham Corner. Going to be going toward Berthura up to the north. Huger. Currently the location included. This is for Berkeley and Charleston counties, by the way. Those are the 2 counties included. The other counties that are included over in Georgia includes Effingham and as well as Screven. For that other tornado warning. Let me real quickly go back to the other one, just in case we're not missing anything here. Yeah, so there's still some broad rotation near Newington. Yeah, that's east of Statesboro. It's moving to the north-northwest. Not really a whole lot of rotation there. It's still there, but it's pretty weak. But we'll keep a close eye on that. There's definitely some gusty winds with that one for sure. But again, this is the strongest rotation we've seen all day so far. And that very well could drop a tornado at any time. So, yeah, if you're located here in this part of Georgia, or sorry, in this part of South Carolina, just northeast of Gainesville, stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible. And here's the latest radar scan. We do have an update, by the way. Idalia is no longer a hurricane. It is officially back to a tropical storm. Let's get some claps in the chat. No longer a hurricane. Still doing some impacts, though, but it's obviously weakening. Hopefully the last time that we'll see Idalia at a Category 1 hurricane strength or higher. Athera, thank you. What's going on after the system passes? Is there any other tropical storms or hurricanes predicted in the next 2 weeks? Right now, not really, at least for the United States. There'll be hype videos like normal for the tropics and all that sort of stuff. I don't see anything coming toward the United States right now, but I'll have to look into it more depth. But, I mean, there's going to be like these 500-hour projections that somebody's going to post on somewhere, and it's going to show this massive hurricane coming to the United States or whatever. But right now, I'm not seeing anything. So, but obviously, I'll keep a close eye on the tropics, and I'll keep posted with the latest. But right now, I don't see anything beyond what we're seeing right now. Franklin's staying out to sea, and I can check really quick, see if the European model is showing anything long term, but again, it can be very inaccurate long term anyways. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything right now, even on the European. GFS model shows probably something, that's my guess. Nope, nothing actually. So no models are really showing anything, at least for the next couple weeks, but again, subject to change. Anything beyond 5 days is kind of unrealistic anyways. Yeah, we do have strong rotation right now in South Carolina. If you're just tuning in, this is just northeast of Charleston. Again, this could very well be on the ground at any time. Northeast of Charleston, South Carolina. Here's a zoomed out look. Again, strong rotation ongoing. Moving toward Route 41, Wyndham Corner and Cordsville will be in the track of this. So stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. I am Joshua. I am in college for meteorology. Well, Panama City, Florida. Panama City is not really seeing anything. If you're not seeing anything right now, you're not going to see anything else for the rest of the night. Pretty much winding down there. Strong rotation does continue over Green Bay. Again, this rotation's been pretty tight for a while here. That's over Green Bay near Smith. It's going to be going toward Old Joe, New Hope. Huger is the main town here in the track of this. Again, on the northeast side of Charleston. And it is going toward Thomas Corner, Witherby, Little Hellhole Bay. Interesting name. And as well as the Cordsville area. And stay in your safe place, lowest floor possible if you're still included in this tornado warning, as it does continue to move off to the north. This rotation's been pretty strong here for the last several minutes. It's very well could drop at any time. Here's a little bit higher up into the atmosphere. This is pretty tight rotation. Again, I haven't seen anything definitive yet, though, on the correlation coefficient that indicates that this is on the ground. There's trees in this area, so if any debris gets lifted up, it very well, could happen at any time here. Thanks, Roxanne. This possible tornado will be going toward the Little Hellhole Bay, as well as the Bogey Head Bay. Different names. All right, back to the live radar again. The velocities is as of 454. Correlation coefficient still behind. We're going to see what it shows here in a second. But as of right now, it's still not indicating a tornado yet on the ground, but very strong rotation right now, moving off to the north-northwest. And stay in your safe place, lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. As this does continue to move off to the north. Beaufort, South Carolina, no problem. Beaufort's mainly heavy rain right now, so we'll see. Probably get a little more active as we go throughout the next few hours. Yeah, real quickly, just zoom back out here real quick. Oh, look at this thing. It's actually south of Myrtle Beach. Definitely a water spout offshore going toward Myrtle Beach. We'll have to watch that closely. This tornado warning has been updated. It is still ongoing right now. This is going off to the north. Again, we have some pretty strong rotation, but there's yet to be anything confirmed with this yet. Again, that's moving toward the Huger area in South Carolina, and then back over in Georgia near Newington. This rotation's weakening out pretty quickly, so I don't think this will continue near Newington and Oliver, but we'll keep a close eye on it as it continues to move off to the north-northwest, just west of the, or right now over the Green Bay area. Again, still some strong rotation ongoing right here. This is currently, again, moving off to the north. But this is an interesting little site here on the radar. Right now, this is currently about 7 miles from being inland near the Myrtle Beach area, and there's a clear water spout on radar for sure. That's very tight rotation. That's definitely a water spout. See how this has evolved over the last few minutes. You can see definitely a water spout there. Water spout has definitely been ongoing for a few minutes at least, possibly longer than that. Again, that's south of Myrtle Beach, so I'll have to watch that closely. Let's go back to the rotation here near Green Bay. A little bit more disorganized, but still there. Again, a tornado could drop at any time. It's just on the north side of Green Bay. So stay in your safe place, lowest floor possible, if you are currently included in this tornado warning. Again, this is moving off to the north-northwest with these outer bands. That particular water spout that I was just showing you will not head to Wilmington. It's going north-northwest, and it's going to be going toward Myrtle Beach, if anything. So if you're Myrtle Beach, stay alert. There's a couple of different spots there that have rotation offshore. And sometimes water spouts, again, can still be tornadoes when they come ashore. So I'll have to watch that closely. Yeah, we have 2 tornado warnings ongoing if you're just chiming in. Both of which, one is in South Carolina, one's in Georgia. Yeah, one in Georgia has just been condensed. Still includes Newington and Oliver. The rotation's right there in that black circle. It's going off to the north-northwest. That will be probably staying just on the west side of Newington, but there's definitely some gusty winds in Newington. Stay in your safe place, lowest floor possible if you are included in this ongoing tornado warning. But nothing on the correlation coefficient, which again means that debris is not being lifted up in the atmosphere as of the time of the radar scan. Here's the latest radar scan. We should have the velocities update here in a second. Hurricane Ian was pretty bad for tornadoes too. That happened about a day or two before landfall. There was a bunch of tornadoes. We had one day with them. A few tornadoes near like the Miami area. There was an EF2. It was messy. Here's the NATOcast update for tonight, by the way, for the tornado risk. So we got a 10% hatched area along the coast. Yeah, rotation looks to be way weaker now. It looks like it's kind of fizzled out here. Not seeing nearly as much in the spot where there was rotation. Still probably some damaging winds at the bare minimum, but it does seem to be weaker for the time being. Let me check this real quick. There's currently no tornado risk, by the way, for tomorrow. For today, there is a 10% region for a tornado, but a strong tornado is, at this point, currently unlikely. Any EF2 plus tornadoes with this hurricane? I doubt it. It's possible, but I don't think we'll... I mean, it's a low chance, I'll say that. If we do see one, it would probably be one and not, like, multiple. We have a confirmed water spout offshore for sure right now. All right, this is 100% a water spout right now going toward Chestnut Hill. We very well could see a tornado warning with this as it comes ashore. This is a tight rotation. I wonder if the correlation coefficient will show anything. No, it doesn't. It's basically just a water spout, but that's definitely, I mean, there's almost no doubt that's a current ongoing water spout. And it's only about 5 miles away from the coast. Or actually 7. 7's for the direct center. So might get a tornado warning on that if you're near the Myrtle Beach area. Between Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. I'll go back down here to the south real quick. Is there anything new on these tornado warnings? And the rotation's pretty small, but there could still be a brief tornado closer to the Newington area on the southwest side near Oliver. So stay in your safe place again if you're in this tornado warning for the next 15 minutes. And that means an interior room of your home or building. And then back up here near the Wyndham Corner in Huger area, there is still a chance for a tornado. This is also near the Hellhole Bay. It's called the Little Hellhole Bay. Again, if that's what the name is. Just going by what the name is. That's in the track of this. Going off to the north-northwest. Stay in your safe place and on the lowest floor possible if you're still included in this tornado warning. That's the latest update again on this tornado warning. Very well could still drop a tornado, but the rotation is much weaker than before. Raining hard at Myrtle Beach. Visibility decreased from fog. Actually, fog up there. I'm surprised if there's a whole lot of fog, but might be. Yeah, we definitely have a water spout that'll be maybe coming ashore near Chestnut Lake. If you're in Atlantic Beach or Chestnut Hill, or near Myrtle Beach, I would very well be weather aware, like, over the next several minutes, because there is a good chance that this could produce a tornado coming ashore. If it were to, it'd probably make landfall near the Arcadian Shores area. A little bit weaker now in this latest scan, but it definitely has a chance. And there's also multiple other areas behind this. Another one that'll be coming behind, probably about 15-20 minutes, going toward North Myrtle Beach. And that'll move toward that area. Briarcliff Acres. Those areas are all on track again of these pockets of rotation that are likely producing water spouts. And we had a water spout come ashore near Charleston, South Carolina earlier, so it's entirely possible. This rotation's weakening out pretty quickly, it looks like. Still some high winds, maybe a little bit of rotation here, but let's match that up with the reflectivity. It'd be rain-wrapped if there was a tornado at this point, but it seems like it's still rotating, but it's weaker overall. Still stay in your safe place for in that tornado warning, but again, the rotation's definitely weaker than before. And here's a zoomed out look right now of now Tropical Storm Idalia. First time we've been able to say that in a couple days. This is now back down to a tropical storm. Sustained winds are currently at, I believe, 70, but let me double check. It might be weaker. Yeah, they're down to 70 miles per hour. Pressure's up to 984. It's the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. The other updates with this National Hurricane Center update, this is expected to go into the Atlantic Ocean, weaken into a tropical storm. Sustained winds of 50 miles per hour going toward Bermuda into the weekend and as well as into early next week. And additionally, the storm surge map has been updated, and this is a pretty big update. I just want to get this in real quick. Here's that storm surge map for you. So storm surge has been updated. No longer looking at or anything above 4 feet of storm surge in Florida. It's all back down to 1 to 3 feet across the entire coastline. Up to 5 feet of storm surge for those from the Savannah River back through the South Sante River. Still from the Flagler-Volusia County line back through parts of central Georgia in terms of the coastline. Looking at 1 to 3 feet of storm surge and then a 2 to 4 foot storm surge expected in Beaufort Inlet and the Ocracoke Inlet. That's the latest update. Again, no changes really on the East Coast. West Coast has been changed entirely. Storm surge is back down to 1 to 3 feet, which is still concerning if you're on the immediate coastline. Again, avoid going to the beach today if you were thinking about it. It's just not worth it. How bad the rip currents are and whatnot today are definitely bad. Yeah, if you're in Myrtle Beach, stay alert. There is a water spout offshore. See if there's any update here on this one. Yeah, right here. This would be the pocket of that possible water spout. Could be coming ashore here in the next few minutes toward the Chestnut Hill area. How bad is damage in Atlanta? Atlanta, I don't think saw anything from this. Maybe a passing shower, but that's about it. Atlanta stayed pretty dry. Atlanta wasn't really expected to see anything either, so Atlanta was a-okay. Here's Newington. Again, rotation's pretty weak there. This tornado warning will likely be canceled or let to expire. And then that other tornado warning back up near the Huger area, near the Little Hellhole Bay. Pretty broad rotation right now, moving off to the north. This should probably weaken out as it moves off to the north, but we'll keep a close eye on it. Again, stay in your safe place just in case. almost over in Savannah. Yeah, Savannah will be winding down. I mean, you're going to have winds pick up a bit more, but the overall rainfall will definitely start to dwindle a little bit more. Yeah, this again, this hurricane, now tropical storm, really narrowly missed Tampa. If it went any further south, it would have been catastrophic. We were talking about it a lot yesterday, but looks like now this rotation's fizzled out pretty quickly. So I guess, at least for now, this is not an immediate risk to the Chestnut Hill area, but I would still very well stay weather aware, especially on the immediate coastline as this approaches. We very well could see a brief water spout come ashore. Oh, that's definitely going to be something to watch for as it goes up toward Myrtle Beach. And there will be an increased tornado risk near Myrtle Beach over the next several hours as well. And that'll continue all the way through the evening. There is a tornado watch all the way until 10 o'clock tonight. Let's go back over to, we'll stay on this storm for now. This storm, by the way, that's over near Huger now is definitely much weaker than before. Yeah, this thing is pretty much done in terms of its intensity. So I'm not very concerned about this storm anymore near the Huger area and Wyndham Corner. Very weak at this point in terms of rotation, or at least organization. The rotation itself, it's still there as a 502, but the next radar scan's not in yet, but it does seem to be way weaker, not organized anymore. Could still see a brief tornado, so stay in your safe place at least for the next couple minutes if you're near the Little Hellhole Bay and Bethera, but again, it's not overly concerning, I would say, for the long term. It's much more disorganized, and a lot of these storms, when they're off the coast, especially on the eastern side, they're more organized, like these other ones that have these blue boxes. That's your special marine warnings. Rotation's definitely a bit more organized with these, but again, these are offshore. Once they come ashore, they might be a bit stronger, but as of right now, it's not super organized once they come inland. They've been weakening. Like this one right here, this was a definite water spout there for a few minutes, and then it weakened out. Still a chance near Myrtle Beach that we could see maybe a water spout come ashore, perhaps produce a tornado. Even this little area here, it started to develop a little bit of rotation that's located just to the east, southeast of North Myrtle Beach, so we'll have to still watch that closely. Tornado warning has been canceled in Georgia. We still have the one that's ongoing here near Huger. Let's go back to the other radar. And still a little bit of rotation, but it's really not much. It's probably just going to weaken out here as that moves off to the north. Here's the latest radar scan, or latest update. Still a tornado warning for the next few minutes. Actually, weather spotters have actually reported a funnel cloud. That's the latest update on this one. So there has been a funnel cloud reported, which wouldn't surprise me, maybe from earlier. I don't know how old that report is, but earlier the rotation was very strong on radar. But as of right now, this is not nearly as strong. It's been fizzling out, but maybe there's something maybe still. So again, that's why you should still stay in your safe place for the next few minutes, just in case. I'm not sure how old that report is. Let me figure out when that report was. That might have been a while ago. I don't even see a funnel cloud report online. Yeah, water spotters reported a funnel cloud, but there's not a time on it. But it is going to be going toward the Bethera area. And there's definitely a chance that there was a funnel cloud, or maybe still is. Still trying to see if we find any other details on that report. Not seeing anything on it. We have a report coming in from somebody via Twitter. I can't confirm it entirely, but there was a report of a brief tornado touchdown in Huger. It's just a random report. It's possible that there might have been a brief tornado here, possibly even earlier in the storm, but that's the report that we just had. At least I saw one on Twitter. Again, I can't confirm it, but it is possible. If there was a tornado, it'd be located right here near 41, moving off to the north. We'll try to see if we have any other details on this. Weather spotters did report a funnel cloud, and it's entirely possible, with that being said, that there could be a tornado on the ground here, moving off to the north, but it likely will be brief if there is one. Let's see what the latest radar scan is showing us. And this says a 509, that's the rotation right there. Correlation coefficient. Oh, yeah, look at that. That possibly is one, but again, let me look at the next radar scan here. 509 right here. Correlation coefficient as a 510. Yeah, this could be a tornado. I'm trying to match it up with the radar, though. It's hard to exactly match it. Let me do, let's do this. With this, let's do live reflectivity. This in motion. Way too many frames. I should have put it on less frames than this. I would at least be in your safe place again if you're still in this tornado warning. I cannot necessarily confirm this. It could very well be the reflectivity here. Because again, I don't see any definitive area of rotation here. So I'm not seeing anything definitive in terms of a tight couplet that would indicate an ongoing tornado. There is definitely a possibility still that we have at least something here in terms of at least a brief tornado perhaps, but that's a pretty big CC drop for that. But if we match it up entirely, again, that's the debris, and that would match up right here. It's not very definitive still, but again, stay in your safe place just in case. I'm going to see if we can find any other details on this. Rotation overall is not very strong. The problem is we're very far away from a radar site, so confirming sometimes these things can be difficult. But again, if you're currently in this Berkeley County area near the Weatherby, Huger area, stay in your safe place away from windows, lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. Away from windows. But somebody did report a tornado on the ground a few minutes ago in Huger, so it's entirely possible. But again, it's not a confirmed report. It's just some random Twitter user, so I'm not entirely sure. But it's entirely possible. But this correlation coefficient drop does not look very, doesn't look very confident, I would say. Tornado warning's been canceled, so I don't think this is a CC drop. Obviously, it looked very concerning on radar, but it doesn't really match up with where even the rotation was, and the rotation on radar is not very strong. We'll see if they issue a new tornado warning, but I have my doubts. It's kind of hard to tell. There's not really a whole lot there, but again, there was somebody that reported a tornado, at least random person, briefly. But again, we'll still wait and see what happens in the next couple minutes in case they issue a new one. Population's pretty small in that area, but obviously, it's a small town. Somebody apparently saw it, so. This is north of Charleston, so this is the broad overview. We haven't really zoomed out in a while, but this is the broad overview. And that was north of Charleston, that particular storm, pretty rural area there of South Carolina in Berkeley County. And then back over here to the south, we have multiple different areas that we're watching for water spouts off coast near Myrtle Beach. These could again come ashore later today or even potentially in the next hour or two. And these will be posing that threat for perhaps an isolated tornado inland. So we'll be watching for that threat as that continues to move inland. But that threat again should stay on the lower side of things overall. Tornado risk today, again, a few tornadoes are likely, but this is the exact wording from the Storm Prediction Center. Again, a few tornadoes likely, isolated damaging wind gusts to 70 miles per hour are possible. And that's from Tropical Storm Idalia. Again, Idalia is no longer a hurricane. It is now down to a tropical storm. Sustained winds of 70 miles per hour, so it's on the high-end side of a tropical storm. And it will obviously continue to pose some impacts in terms of storm surge, up to 5 feet along the east coast of the United States here. That will range from Georgia all the way back through parts of even, let's just go to the storm surge map. Might as well do this. So here's the storm surge map in a second. This is the storm surge map. So again, upwards of 5 feet of storm surge from the South Sante River back through the St. Catherine's Sound and then back into Beaufort as well, Inlet, as well as the Ocracoke Inlet. 2 to 4 feet of storm surge is expected there. So again, storm surge still possible today. In addition to this, we are still looking at that flooding rain threat. This is how much rainfall you can expect through tonight. Again, these are estimates, but overall, plus and minus 2 inches in all these totals wherever you are, especially like Florence, for example. You could be anywhere from like 2 or anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of rain. Like Fayetteville up in North Carolina, you could very well be upwards of 4 to 6 inches of rain. And then back near Columbia, South Carolina, I would expect that total to probably be between about 2 to 6. It's a pretty large range, depending on how close that heaviest band of rain gets to you. Since this is pretty slow moving, the heaviest of the rain will be probably ongoing for quite a bit. New tornado warning now issued for those in the Windham Corner. This is a new area of rotation that we were literally... I was just looking at a second ago. I didn't say anything about, but this is a new area of rotation near Windham Corner. Pretty much the same exact spot where this other tornado warning storm just began. So, new tornado warning south of Jamestown, moving off to the north. Seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. If you are included in this tornado warning, seeing a very small little CC area there, possibly a brief tornado, possibly dropping there, but it's not definitive. I'm gonna check and see if I can see another angle here. Yeah, if you're in this tornado warning, seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. This is right now moving off to the northwest. We're going toward Jamestown in South Carolina. Again, this is on the south or on the northeast side of Charleston. This does include Berkeley County. If there's anything else here in terms of reports. It also includes Alvin, Jamestown, the Schuylerville, and this also includes Bertha in South Carolina. Yeah, that's the latest. So again, this is an ongoing area of rotation. Again, northeast of Charleston. It is going to be going toward Jamestown and Washington here in parts of South Carolina. And this is northeast of Charleston. Seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. And this is in Berkeley County near Route 45 and Route 41. Strongest rotation is just northeast of Windham Corner. And as of right now, no correlation coefficient drop for the time being, which means, again, that there's not actively a tornado on the ground, but one could drop at any time. Again, this is radar indicated rotation is yet to be confirmed on this storm. Stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible for the time being. They just said a tornado came through here. Wait, what place are we talking about? Here's a zoomed out look of the area that we're in. Again, this is northeast of Charleston, South Carolina. The live view of the storm. And we're having a lot of these situations today where we get these brief tornadoes coming off these storms that are coming off the coast. And really on the eastern side here of Tropical Storm Idalia. That's what we're going to be seeing over the next several hours. And again, that's why there is a tornado watch all the way until 10 o'clock along the coastline. There'll be multiple of these storms producing the threat for a tornado, including this one, for example, that's going toward Jamestown. And Jamestown is in the track of this over the next little while. Here's the latest. This is the latest radar scan as of about a minute ago. Right here, moving off to the north. Here's the latest scan. And again, still rotation located right there. That's going to be over now. The Big Opening is what this place is called. There's a lot of interesting names in this Berkeley County area. We have the Little Hellhole. We have the Bogey Head Bay. And now the rotation is located over the Big Opening. So if you're familiar with Berkeley County and you know what this area is, apparently this is called the Big Opening. So it's near Schuylerville going toward Jamestown. And again, Farewell Corner. The track of this in South Carolina. We have a new tornado warning as well that has just been issued. This is over in Georgetown. It's further to the north. Strong rotation coming ashore near the Merle's Inlet. Seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible if you are included in this tornado warning. That is very intense rotation. This is near Garden City Beach. So we go toward Bucksport as well as St. Paul's, Plantersville, the Conch Creek area, Toddville, all those areas, as well as Woodbury. Yeah, this is moving to the north. Seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. Another strong pocket of rotation. And we have now a third tornado warning that has been issued for Hampton County and Jasper County in South Carolina. This is going to be associated with a pocket of rotation that's near Stokes. We got now 3 tornado warnings. Seek shelter immediately, away from windows, lowest floor possible. If you are included in this tornado warning, it's going toward Furman and Scotia. Yeah, I'm guessing it's Scotia. Moving up to the north-northwest, or even more west-northwest. It's pretty far to the northwest here, but that's moving up to the north-northwest. Seek shelter, away from windows, lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. That's right next to the radar site near Furman. That's actually going to be way back over in western parts of South Carolina. So now we have 3 tornado warnings ongoing. The one that's over here near Merle's Inlet and Litchfield Beach is much more intense. So we're going to watch this very closely. We're going to watch all of them very closely. There's now 3 tornado warnings on the map. Here's the latest radar scan. This rotation is insane right here. Let's check out the correlation coefficient. It's not updated yet. Here's the live radar feed, which is also not updated yet. That's a 518. This is the 521 radar scan on the rotation here. And pretty intense rotation that's going towards St. Paul's, Conch Creek, and the Bucks Sport area. Waiting for this next correlation coefficient update to come in, because this will give us an idea of debris. All right, let's kind of match this up here, because this is right here. Check out this velocities here. Yeah, that could be a tornado right there. I'm going to try to match it up with reflectivity. Again, right now, if you're in this area, seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. If you're right now in Bucksport, or as well as the St. Paul's area, this easily could be on the ground. It's very strong, intense rotation moving off to the north. Again, get to your safe place, interior room of your home or building, if you're currently included in this tornado warning. Seeing if we have any other updates here. And this is just west of Garden City, just on the west side there of Myrtle Beach, by the way. So if you know anybody in the suburbs here, again, near St. Paul's and Bucksport, as well as Toddville and Plantersville, those are the areas included. Make sure that you give them a call or text. Those are the main locations included here. Back to the velocities. Again, we have very strong rotation. Easily could be a tornado on the ground. That's near Bellin, and as well as going toward Mulberry Landing, St. Paul's, or Plantersville. Again, strong rotation moving off to the north right now. Barely even raining in Myrtle Beach right now. Yeah, Myrtle Beach has a bit of a break. This is more zoomed out here. But Myrtle Beach is kind of a break here for a little bit. There's more of these water spout storms off coast that could easily pose a threat for a tornado as they come inland, but that's still a little ways out from now. Here's that rotation, by the way. Really intensified over the last several minutes. Here's the latest radar scan. The 523. No definitive correlation coefficient drop, which is one thing we've seen lacking with these storms over the last several hours, is that there hasn't really been a definitive correlation coefficient drop, which again, what we're talking about is debris being lifted up into the atmosphere on radar. We haven't really seen any of that with all these storms so far, even though there has been a couple confirmed tornadoes to this point. The one near Bellin and going towards St. Paul's, very strong rotation. I mean, we got very strong winds going toward the radar, going away from the radar, counterclockwise spin. But again, no CC drop here, indicating an ongoing tornado. Again, it's very strong rotation at the bare minimum here. Let's check out the other 2 tornado warnings real quick. We got 2 others ongoing. Let's go back to Berkeley County. It's near Wyndham Corner. And the rotation's near Newland right now, going towards Jamestown. The rotation is going to be located right now just to the west-northwest of Newland. Maybe a second area near Wyndham Corner. But the main area right here is moving off to the north-northwest toward Jamestown, going toward Route 45. You gotta get to your safe place, lowest floor possible, if you are currently included in that tornado warning. That's still radar indicated rotation. And the other tornado warning that's near Furman, this is moving west or northwest. Right now, we're not really rotating a whole lot, but this could produce a tornado at any time. The rotation's right here near Furman. That's moving off to the northwest right now. And back over in western parts of South Carolina. So stay in your safe place. Lowest floor possible if you're included in that tornado warning. Back to the main one that's back over near Myrtle Beach right now, just west of Myrtle Beach. The 523 radar scan. Here's the velocities. And we got some pretty strong rotation. At the bare minimum, we're going to have some gusty winds, maybe some damaging winds. Let's move it off to the north right now. Let me check Twitter and see if we have any tornado reports. And that Berkeley County tornado warning does include Schuylerville, Jamestown, Bertha, as well as Alvin, till 5:45 Eastern Time. And if you're just tuning in, you've not already heard, Idalia is officially back down to a tropical storm as of 5 o'clock this afternoon. So maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. Pressure is at 984 millibars. That's a 3 millibar increase from 2 p.m. So it's the official news on Idalia. Herbville, there was a possible or a tornado, trees down, an ambulance there. It's entirely possible. I don't know where that is, but and unconfirmed right now. But I'll try to see if I see anything else on Twitter. I don't see anything on Twitter right now. And here's the latest radar scan. Again, correlation coefficient not indicating any debris being lifted up by this ongoing strong pocket of rotation just west of Myrtle Beach. Again, just west of Garden City Beach and as well as Myrtle's Inlet. But we definitely could still see a tornado anytime with that storm. It's entirely possible. Again, these storms are in an environment where there could be a tornado with any of them. There is rotation for sure. Still some storms off the coast producing water spouts. Those could produce tornadoes inland as well. And then back over near Jamestown, we still have an ongoing tornado warning there. Yeah, that's in Berkeley County. Weak rotation now. That storm's weakening out in terms of its rotation, but I would still stay in your safe place just in case it tries to recycle. And then back over with the other tornado warning near Furman. It's over near Scotia. That's moving to the northwest. Rotation's still not overly strong, but it could still produce a tornado at some point over the next few minutes as it moves off to the northwest towards Scotia. It's the latest update. Again, we have 3 tornado warnings that are ongoing right now. The main one that has had the strongest rotation by far is the one over here. We have an update on the tornado warning that's back out to the west. This is near Route 321. Still radar indicated rotation, moving off to the west near Scotia. And stay in your safe place if you're included in that ongoing tornado warning. Yeah, radar indicated rotation as well back over here near Garden City. Just making sure there's no other reports that I might have missed here. Yeah, they're all radar indicated rotation. We had a funnel cloud reported earlier on one of the previous Berkeley County tornado warnings. So, just making sure. And this is a tornado warning. All 3 tornado warnings, if you're just tuning in, are in South Carolina. None in Georgia. There was one in Georgia beforehand, but no longer in Georgia. How many tornadoes have there been since Idalia got into Florida? I do not know. There's probably at least been a few, but we're not probably going to know until tomorrow or Friday. It's probably going to be a few days until we actually know, because it takes a little bit to do these surveys. I can check and see how many reports we've had, but there obviously has probably been more than the reports even show. Because we've already had one confirmed water spout, which could have been a tornado earlier today. We had a confirmed tornado on the north side of Charleston near Goose Creek. We had video of that on Twitter. So that's really the only confirmed one we've had of a tornado. And then we had 2 tornadoes yesterday. There was a confirmed tornado over in Avon Park, which we were actually covering last night. So we covered that last night. There's also another tornado apparently back over in Lubbock, Texas, in Reese Center. Not associated with Idalia. So that was a land spout, but there was a land spout confirmed back over in Reese Center in Lubbock County. That's such a random one. So that's what we've at least had confirmed so far. But about 2 confirmed from Idalia. There may have been more, may have been less, or may have been more. There has not been less, so there have maybe been more, but we don't know. They'll take probably a few days to confirm all of them, because they have to decipher what, tornado damage is and what the hurricane has done in terms of damage and all that sort of stuff. It might take a little bit to, get through. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is a tornado warning right now in parts of northeastern parts of South Carolina near Myrtle Beach. The storm is not going toward Myrtle Beach, but it is off to your west. Still producing some rotation. No definitive drop of a tornado at this point, but there has been strong rotation at times. Very well could have produced a tornado earlier. We do not know this current time, but the rotation's moving off to the north-northwest, weakening a little bit right now, a little bit broader, but still strong enough to the point where it could drop a tornado as it goes toward Mount Tabor and as well as going toward Woodbury, staying west of Toddsville most likely. But still stay in your safe place if you're anywhere in that tornado warning. And again, the tornado warning near Furman is still pretty weak rotation overall. And then we still have the ongoing tornado warning in Berkeley County. Rotation's weak in there overall. That tornado warning will probably be let to expire. If not, it could be canceled beforehand. How's it going, Rainbow? No problem, Aiden. This is not a hurricane, by the way. This is a tropical storm, sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. It was a hurricane at 2 o'clock. It's now 5 o'clock, and it has been downgraded as of 5. There's been a lot of damage along the immediate coastline. Power outages are substantial in Florida and parts of Georgia. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of power outages. A lot of southern Georgia is without power. In the panhandle of Florida, just east of Tallahassee, it's pretty much 100% without power there. It is really bad. 271,000 residents are without power as of about 30 minutes ago. As of now, it's back to 255,000 without power. So it's actually dropped by 16,000. So some good news there. It's starting to improve a little bit. Georgia currently has 217,000 people without power. Rotation, by the way, latest scan over St. Paul's. Strong rotation again. That's going toward Mount Tabor right now. And stay in your safe place, lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. And we do currently have 3 tornado warnings ongoing, all in South Carolina. This is the strongest one just west of Myrtle Beach. Yeah, 217,000 people are without power in Georgia. That's about 5% of the population. So, pretty high number. And then South Carolina is at 6,700 people without power, most of which are in Jasper County. That's the furthest southern county, basically, in South Carolina. So that's starting to increase a little bit. Florence will be mainly heavy rainfall for the next, 12 to 16 hours. That's the main concern. Maybe some tropical storm force winds, but it'll be on the lower side of things. Jacksonville, North Carolina will be mainly storm surge along the coastline, heavy rainfall as well. A few inches of rain are expected. The eye of it will probably just stay to your south, so you'll probably get a good amount of heavy rainfall there. Rainfall totals could definitely get up there. I'll try to go through a bit more of an update after we have less tornado warnings. We still have 3 right now. This has been the main one near St. Paul's. It's been pretty strong, too. This is the latest radar scan. Again, very strong rotation. Very strong rotation. But the correlation coefficient has not shown us anything in terms of a debris signature or anything like that, which is obviously good news, but it's kind of crazy that we have this strong of rotation. This rotation's not, tight and confined, but it's still pretty strong, the velocities. The last scan looked pretty tight. So, again, we could see a tornado in between radar scans as well. It's entirely possible, as this does continue to move to the north. Again, if you're just tuning in, 3 tornado warnings in South Carolina. This is one of them, west of Myrtle Beach. Here's a zoomed out look of everything. And this is, again, what Idalia looks like. Idalia is literally located where that tornado warning is, pretty much. Idalia is just to the west of Beaufort. That's the center of it. That's where Idalia is. West of Beaufort, just north of Savannah. So that's just for perspective. We have some of these outer bands out here to the east that are currently going to be going inland with water spouts that could be tornadoes inland. We'll have more of these continue over the next few hours, especially across the tornado watch. And this tornado watch goes until 10 o'clock Eastern time. There could be another one in the overnight hours as well. Yeah, Myrtle Beach, again, if you're in Myrtle Beach, there are multiple storms with water spouts off coast. I'd be very mindful of those because they will be going toward Myrtle Beach. There's a good possibility that one of these comes ashore at some point and produces at least some damage there to the immediate coastline, but we could have a tornado down the road too. This one's been rotating forever. There's actually a new area of rotation now that's developing. So this will be going toward Myrtle Beach, probably in about 20 to 30 minutes on that ETA. But the tornado warning to your west is not going toward Myrtle Beach. Glad you're doing good, Mary. Glad you're doing good. There's a lot of people that had a lot of rough issues yesterday and this morning. Obviously, Perry got hit hard. A lot of areas in Florida got hit hard, and there's been some serious damage along the coastline. I'm hoping maybe this weekend I can drive over there and maybe go over and check it out, because I mean, I'm not really far from the area that got hit the hardest, so I could maybe do a little storm chasing sort of live stream, but we'll see. Thank you, Fire, for the 199. I appreciate that. Strong rotation currently over located north of St. Paul's now. Going toward Conch Creek. Eventually toward Woodbury, again, just west of Myrtle Beach. Still strong rotation for the time being. No correlation coefficient drop, though, as well. So we still don't have any debris being lifted up into the atmosphere. I'm staying safe, by the way. I'm good. I did not lose power, so that means we're in a good spot. We've not lost power. All right, we do have an update on the Berkeley County tornado warning, and as well as the other tornado warning back in western parts of South Carolina. Rotation still does continue. It's pretty broad, pretty weak in northern parts of Berkeley County. Still stay in your safe place, but again, I'm not overly concerned about this storm anymore. I mean, I would still stay in your safe place, right? But right now, the rotation's much broader, much weaker. Stay in your safe place, and yeah, you'll be good pretty much after a few minutes. It's pretty weak at this point. Tornado warning still does continue near Scotia. Broad rotation overall. Again, this could drop a tornado, but if it does, it'll be weak and brief. Stay in your safe place, lowest floor possible, if you're included in this tornado warning. That's moving west-northwest. Really, the largest concern has been this tornado warning over here. Still radar indicated. Nothing new about this one, other than it's impacting Conch Creek as well as St. Paul's. Been very strong rotation here for multiple minutes now. Continue to move to the north-northwest. No problem, Rain. Welcome back, Christina. Here's the latest radar scan. Seems to be a bit broader on this latest scan. Again, it's kind of been in and out a little bit. So, we're still watching it closely, but this one, honestly, has the highest probability at this point of producing a tornado, in my opinion, out of the 3 tornado warnings. My tabs all froze, so I don't know if we're good. Yeah, we're good, it looks like. All right, I don't know if my computer froze there, but... Yeah, there's 3 tornado warnings as of right now, which is, I mean, it's not unexpected with a hurricane or a tropical storm, but definitely a lot. A lot. The most tornado warnings we had at one point the other night with that tornado outbreak in Michigan and as well as Ohio was, I believe, about 5 or 6. I could be wrong, though. But we had about, and if you didn't already hear, if you're from Ohio or Michigan, in Ohio, there was 12 confirmed tornadoes that evening. There was only 2 tornado warnings, but there was 12 confirmed tornadoes, or maybe 3 tornado warnings. That was a crazy night. But a lot of those were really quick, and they happened a lot in between radar scans, so we didn't really see a whole lot. Personally, we saw a few of them, but there's a lot of tornadoes in Ohio. There's 12. That was on August 25th, so about 5 days ago. Inland forecast is primarily heavy rainfall. Rainfall totals could go as high as 10 inches in some areas. So, localized flooding is possible, but that will be an isolated threat. Most people will see between 3 to 6 inches of rain. Here's the latest radar scan. The rotation's located over Mount Tabor now. Near Hannah, maybe? I don't know. That's the area now where we have a bit stronger of rotation. Yeah, no correlation coefficient drop, but that is where the rotation's located. Let me match this up with radar. It looks rain wrapped. It's not very organized storm, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's south of Conch Creek, west of Myrtle Beach. Stay in your safe place. This tornado warning does go for another 5 minutes here. We've had yet to have any confirmed tornado by radar, so I guess that's good news so far. And the other tornado warnings do expire here shortly as well. 5:45, 5:45, 5:45. So they all expire in 5 minutes. This one might get reissued though. We'll see. And a friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Again, we'll keep posted with everything that you need to know about Idalia. And it is back down to a tropical storm. And again, we do have 3 tornado warnings across South Carolina as of now. One of which is the one we're on right now in Georgetown, Horry, as well as Marion County, South Carolina. We have another one in Hampton County, South Carolina, and as well as Berkeley and Williamsburg counties in South Carolina. Those two other ones that we're not looking at are pretty weak right now, but they could still produce a tornado over the next few minutes. I'd still stay in your safe place just in case. You'll notice, again, the rotation is pretty broad and weak at this point on this storm. This is the Berkeley and Williamsburg tornado warning. And then back over near the Scotia area. Also, not really seeing a whole lot. Maybe a little bit of rotation there near Shirley. But again, it's a pretty low chance it'll drop a tornado. But if it does, it'll probably be on the weaker side of things anyways with that kind of storm. Here's a zoomed out look right now of Idalia on the reflectivity. Again, we do have a lot of heavy rainfall happening north and east of Statesboro now. That's where the heaviest rain will continue to fall. It's going to be moving through Orangeburg, Florence eventually later as this tracks to the northeast. And eventually we'll be seeing more of that tornado risk continuing to ramp up over the next few hours here across the Carolina coastline. We have a couple pockets of rotation out near Mount Tabor. Two different pockets. One right here near 701, the other one on the west side of 701. Storm left Georgia. The eye of it is now just to the east of Georgia. The eye has now crossed into South Carolina. I believe, at least. As of 5 p.m., it was still in eastern Georgia. But if it's not in South Carolina yet, it's awfully close. It's basically on the border right now. It's moving pretty quick, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the in South Carolina at this point. Got two different pockets of rotation, again, going toward Conch Creek and Woodbury. Tornado warnings do expire in about 3 minutes, so we'll basically see if they issue new ones on these. This will be the only one that I think they'll issue a new tornado warning on. Maybe the one that's back down in very far western South Carolina. The one in Berkeley County is pretty weak. Maybe in Hampton County, South Carolina, we might see a new tornado warning. We'll see. This rotation was intense at one point. Again, if you're just tuning in, you didn't see. Very strong rotation coming off the coast. As of right now, we didn't have a confirmed tornado on this, but never know. Is it going to come back around again? I don't think so. Again, I don't expect this to go back and, you know, come back to Florida, right? I kind of mentioned this before, but let me just do it one more time. This rotation's weakening now. Still stay in your safe place, just in case. Tornado warning has been canceled, by the way, for Berkeley County and Williamsburg County. But here's what we're looking at in terms of the long-term track of Idalia, right? So right now, the cone of uncertainty is obviously quite large when it gets out to sea. It's going to be going toward Bermuda, which is right here. But the current track of this is that it will likely go back out to sea. There have been some outlier models that have been showing, oh, it's going to go back toward Florida. And there's also been some people, you know, on TikTok posting some things like, oh, it's going to come back toward Florida or whatever. It's hype. It's not realistic right now. We don't have any really clear depiction that this will go back to Florida. And the reason why is because we have this trough. It'll keep up with this for enough time to the point where it'll sit out here in the Atlantic Ocean. But what's going to happen is that this will likely go back out to the north and northeast from another trough. But the only chance that this has of going back to Florida is if there's a strong high pressure system that dominates somehow near Florida and all of a sudden pulls this back into Florida and this moves off to the north and west. It's a very unlikely scenario that would even happen meteorologically, but that would have to be with some of the mid-latitude dynamics and stuff like that, and again, I just don't see that happening. So it's a low chance still. The cone of uncertainty is obviously pretty large, but in my opinion, this will probably just go out to sea. There's almost no chance this goes back to Florida. It's like a 1%, 2% type of deal where, like, you know, there's almost no chance this goes back to Florida. So that's my take on it. Again, no hype, nothing like that. Again, we're being realistic here. We're honest here. So we're not trying to scare the crap out of you again. And even if it did happen, like, let's say it did happen. Let's say it goes back to Florida. It would probably be a tropical storm. It would not be a hurricane. It's highly unlikely it would get back to that strength. With the forecasted dynamics down the road. That could obviously change. We no longer have any tornado warnings now. We'll see if they issue a new one, but that's the latest. So we no longer have a tornado warning on any of those storms. We'll continue to keep a close eye on all that storm activity. And here's the infrared imagery here. Do a quick loop of this. But this is the full loop here over the last few hours. From when it made landfall in Florida now to what it looks like. Again, the eye made landfall earlier this morning around 8 in the morning. As forecasted, and now it's moving through Savannah, and the eye right now is located pretty much now in South Carolina. It's not really in Georgia anymore. It's moving pretty quickly, so All right, well, I got a second. While we don't have any tornado warnings, I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be back in 1 minute, so stay tuned. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Like button to subscribe. That way you never miss an accurate and honest forecast from Max Velocity. Also, make sure to hit that bell icon and click all so you receive all notifications when I go live or I have a video forecast for you. Also, hit the like button down below as well. Helps our page out a lot. And if you're feeling generous and you want to support our page above and beyond, you can become a member for as little as $2.99 per month. All you need to do is click that little join button and you can select from 4 different tiers, which will give you different benefits from bloopers access to exclusive forecasts. You will also get a shout out here on our live stream. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Let me go back to this. Thank you, Doral, for the $9.99. Love listening to Max way over here in Utah. Utah, really? I can't remember the last time I covered Utah, to be honest. Don't really cover weather over there very often. Appreciate the $9.99. Thanks for the generosity. Pretty cool. Utah. I've never actually been to Utah either. I went to California one time, but that's the closest I've gotten to Utah. Every time I say I have to go to the bathroom, somebody always reminds me in the chat to wash my hands. It's the weirdest thing. Actually, 1 second. I have to get my water, so just give me 1 second. I'll be back in like 10 seconds. All right, I got my water. I kind of forgot something. Yeah, this has been a lot of live streaming, obviously, over the last several days. There's been a lot of stuff happening, and this will be our official last live stream of Idalia, so I'm guessing Idalia will be retired after this. Since it became a Category 4 hurricane at one point, it made landfall as a Category 3, but my guess is that this will likely be a retired name. That's my guess, but we'll see. Because a lot of the names that have made landfall have been retired. There's actually a graphic that I want to show you. Let me find it real quick. The various names. By the way, the risk for mini supercells and the attendant risk of a couple tornadoes is likely to move northeast into up the Carolina coast over the next few hours. That would include areas from Myrtle Beach back into Wilmington, those areas. So that's the latest on the tornado risk. But I want to show you a graphic on Twitter. If I can find it. By the way, this is the first major hurricane to make landfall with 125-mile winds or greater in 127 years. The last time was 1896. This is the first tornado to make the first hurricane, to make landfall in the Big Bend of Florida at this magnitude since 1896. That's 127 years ago. But here's the graphic on tropical. But this is the graphic, all the different major hurricanes that have made landfall in the last like 7 years. So from 2017, that's actually the last 6 years. There's been so many of them, in like one every year pretty much. You can see 2017, 2018. We didn't have any in 2019. We had another 2017 as well. 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020. There's 4 2021s. One in 2021, one in 2022, one in 2023. It's crazy. And this will obviously add to the, or this was basically adding to the list here. This is our first major hurricane to make landfall in 2023. Charleston, she said nothing bad yet. We actually have a live count at the bottom right of your screen. That's in Charleston. It shouldn't be too bad in Charleston. I mean, again, it's going to be heavy rainfall, storm surge on the immediate coastline, Perhaps maybe an isolated tornado, but it's a pretty low chance. Here's the 3D view, by the way, of Idalia. I don't love this 3D view. It kind of looks a little bit weird. All the cities on stuff like that on here, but this is like the 3D view here of Idalia. This one made landfall. Crazy on landfall. It's cool to have this 3D view. It really is. It shows a lot of the perspective of what's happened and what's happening. Cool. You think Tornado Alley will be shifting more east in the coming years? It's not really shifting. I think there's a lot of talk about that. My opinion a while back was that it was shifting, but I've kind of changed that opinion. Because, you know, Dixie Alley, they've always had a lot of tornadoes during certain times of the year. Tornado Alley is Tornado Alley. I don't think you can really just change that name or shift it or whatever. It's unrealistic, in my opinion. I think it's fair for what it's called. Because Tornado Alley, I mean, there's tornadoes there quite often. Even if there's more tornadoes in Dixie Alley is called Dixie Alley. And so, you know, I don't think it should be changed to a different place, in my opinion. Friendly reminder, by the way, if you're just tuning in, make sure to like the stream. Subscribe, by the way. We're now 120 subscribers away from 75,000. Only 120 away. That's pretty crazy. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Again, we'll keep posted with the latest on the tropics. And the tornado threat that's still ongoing, obviously. Another thing we'll be watching for, obviously, will be the excessive heat that'll be returning to the United States this upcoming week. I'll be having a video on that tomorrow. We're on a serious grind of live streams and videos recently. Again, we've had 22 hours of live streaming just in the past 5 days. It's been very busy. This is in Jefferson, by the way, in Georgia. Still very windy there. Wind is still tropical storm force here. The eye is located just north of Savannah. I'll show you in a second. Raleigh, North Carolina. Probably just rain. About it. A few showers, maybe an inch or two of rain. Here's where the eye is. This is on reflectivity. Let's see if we can pick it out with reflectivity a little bit. It is right about... It's about to cross into Georgia, or into South Carolina. It's right about here. So it's just west of Beaufort. It's basically crossing over now to South Carolina. That's your hurricane, or sorry, tropical storm. This Idalia is now a tropical storm. It's no longer a hurricane, but that's where it is right now. Re-signature on the east side of Myrtle Beach. Let me check. Be surprised if you saw debris in the water. That'd be kind of surprising. Oh yeah, that actually is debris in the water. I can't imagine what that is. It has to be. It just has to be measuring water, or maybe that's. Let's check this out a little bit. That right there, we have to kind of match this up because this isn't a tight this is not a tight like drop here. Let's go to the correlation coefficient. Yeah, it's not debris. Debris usually doesn't show on in the water either. That's actually from the hole that you see here on the reflectivity. They sometimes show that. I say there's no way that's debris. That's not debris. Even the rotation's not strong enough for this to even be a water spout. So yeah, it's just not a. It's not a drop. Wasn't there a hurricane in California not too long ago? Yeah, there was a hurricane in California. It wasn't a major hurricane on landfall, but that was Hillary. And I covered that for one live stream. That was like a week and a half ago. I was live for that too, but it was a really rushed live stream because I was on vacation from Thursday until Sunday. It was the worst timing possible for that because I literally did not have a single video or live stream on that until Sunday. So, unfortunately, I didn't really have anything going for that, and I was able to rush back and be able to do a live stream at least briefly, but it was rushed. By the way, there is a storm surge warning now in effect here across the coast of South Carolina. That's going to include areas right in here, so Beaufort, Charleston, all included. So if you're in this area, make sure you're staying very weather aware. Again, storm surge up to 5 feet is possible near Charleston, and as well as other areas in the vicinity. Wave heights have been as high as 6 feet recently, and they are expected to continue to go up. Wave heights outside of Beaufort. I'm trying to see if we can find a wave height here near Savannah. They're not showing wave heights, unfortunately. A lot of these are not showing wave heights. They're all showing the wind direction, but they're not showing wave heights. Yeah, I'm not seeing any wave heights. So unfortunately, I can't get any wave heights, but they're likely up there. So again, storm surge up to 5 feet possible across the Carolina coast over the next few hours. up to 4 feet as possible back up in North Carolina, up to 5 feet as possible across the coastline of South Carolina. It was a tropical storm. Are you talking about Hillary? Yeah, Hillary made landfall as a tropical storm. It was weaker by the point it got there, but it dumped tons of rain. That was the big concern with that one. Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it. Where's everybody from, by the way, in the chat? Where's everybody from? You know, in the chat. It's funny enough, I have a page called North Texas Weather Center. I just looked a minute ago, and I made a post like, where's everybody following from? Somebody said they lived in Canada. They're following a North Texas Weather Center page, but they live in Canada. Like, what? No, we're even close to each other. It's pretty funny, though. Maybe one of my Max Velocity followers came from there or something. I don't know. I'm under a big oak tree, and every time the wind gust starts falling on the roof. Yeah, that happens a lot. Happened a lot when I lived in an area with a lot of oak trees back a while back. That was that's an experience. Well, the tree shouldn't fall down unless the winds get strong enough, but I think it's just gonna be a lot of branches. It can be scary though. That's why you stay on the lowest floor possible during hurricanes and strong winds and all that sort of stuff. This is a tropical storm now, though. All right, I got some Sacramento, California, Somerville, South Carolina, DFW. You must be coming from the North Texas Weather Center page. Myrtle Beach, Michigan. Marlboro, Marlboro, isn't that Pennsylvania? Savannah. I've been to Savannah before, by the way. It's beautiful. Actually, recently. Savannah's really nice. There's a really good breakfast place in downtown Beaufort, too. I can't remember what it's called. We're heading to Bermuda on the 2nd of September. Looks like the storm's in the path. How accurate do you think the path is? It's pretty accurate. Bermuda will pretty much almost undoubtedly be impacted by this. Here's the future radar on this. So this is the GFS model. This is going through the 31st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and it cuts off. Let me go back to the last model we're on. Sorry. Tornado is my worst fear. I already survived one. Tornadoes are a lot of people's worst fears, but they're super isolated. They don't usually impact you. I mean, if you see one, it usually only happens like once or twice in your lifetime at most. It doesn't, unless you're storm chasing them. This is by next week, so around the 1st. This is the 2nd. This is the 3rd. The GFS model kind of has it blowing up by the 2nd. So you've been talking about heavy rainfall, some storm surge, and perhaps some flooding in that area. It's going to sit there, though, probably, and then eventually move off to the north by the 4th. It could be a wet few days. It's kind of a little bit too hard to really figure out what the storm surge will be and the flooding risk and all that, because it's a little bit early, but there will definitely be a concern there for obviously some storm surge and flooding down the road. But we'll definitely have to watch that closely. I won't be covering it a whole lot here on the Max Velocity channel. I usually don't cover Bermuda, but I might mention it in a forecast and if there's any details there. By the way, this is tomorrow morning, so again, most of the rain will be out of South Carolina by then. Heaviest of the rainfall will be on the east coast of North Carolina. And Virginia is not going to see much of this. It'll be primarily just some showers southeast of Richmond. It's the current forecast long-term on this. But again, a lot of heavy rainfall over the next several hours. Again, you see all this red on the reflectivity. That's indicating heavy rainfall. We have a lot of it going on in the near the center of this. Again, the center is located just to the east of Statesboro. It's about to move into Beaufort, Charleston. We'll kind of go up the coast here and eventually go out to sea eventually, but we'll be dumping rain for the next 24 hours. Thank you, by the way, everybody, for subscribing. We are currently 54 subscribers away from 75,000. So if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. 54 away from the big milestone of 75,000. We're 3/4 of the way to 100,000, which is just insane. Confirmed tornado at Turbville. Let me look this up, because I heard this. I heard you say that earlier, but I haven't seen anything yet on it. I don't know where that is, to be honest. I literally don't know. I don't see anything on it. Anything? Anybody know what's going on in Live Oak, Florida? Maybe a little bit of rain or something. I don't know. So check this out. Nothing. A lot of power outages probably, but there's nothing actively happening there in terms of like weather. Probably clearing up a little bit in terms of the skies. If you're in this purple area, by the way, this is a tornado watch. It's up and down the coastline. Again, this goes all the way until 10 p.m. tonight. A lot of rainfall to come, and the flooding is the biggest concern. There's actually a new report out of Sardis County, Georgia. Burke County law enforcement reported on social media that the roadway was flooded on Old Sardis Road at Beaver Dam Road. And that's back over in Sardis, Georgia, 1 mile south there. So that's the latest report out of that area. Oh, let me change the title. We don't have multiple tornado warnings anymore. I kind of thought the stream would only be an hour, but we've gone over 2 hours. I have, by the way, I was thinking about not going live at all today. My voice it's struggling a little bit, but we're getting through it. Honestly, my voice doesn't feel horrible yet. I have a cutoff point though with my voice, because if it feels a weird way, then that's when I have to get off, because I've had issues. I had an issue way back. We had like a 7-hour live stream one day, and I kicked out my voice entirely. Like, I couldn't do another video for like a week. It was horrible. 5 straight days, my voice was just hurting so much. I couldn't do a video or a live stream. It was bad. So I'm trying to make sure I don't pass that point. We are now officially 5 subscribers away from 75,000. Only 5 away from a huge milestone. It wasn't a high risk day, no. It's actually an enhanced risk. Tornado watch no longer includes any part of Georgia, so if you're in Georgia, the tornado risk is pretty much over. Tornado risk does continue, though, for the rest of the Carolina coast, all the way back through North Carolina. Hope you got some legit rest earlier. I slept for about 8 hours, which is normal for me. I'm hoping to get about 10 hours of sleep tonight, because I really need it. I've been alive about 22 hours, which, again, the mental prep and everything that goes into this stuff is a lot more than 22 hours. It takes, you know, that, and as well as actually having research down, forecasts ready, all that sort of stuff. It takes a lot more time. I mean, again, basically, I've worked about 40 weeks this week, or 40 hours this week, at least, on just this. And that's not even over a week. It's been over like 4 days. So, I mean, it's been a huge grind, obviously, and being in college, it makes it even harder. And it's very time-consuming, but I love doing it. It's my passion. But it does take a lot of mental prep and all that. We've officially hit 75,000 subscribers. It is actually crazy. I'm pretty sure just yesterday, I could be wrong. Let me check real quick. But yesterday, I'm pretty sure we literally just hit 70,000. 28th, what was that? 2 days ago? All right, so 2 days ago, we hit 70,000. We're up to 75,000 now. Wow. 65,000 back on the 23rd. Just crazy. I appreciate everybody subscribing, by the way. It's actually wild that we got to this milestone, though. Appreciate you guys a lot. Wow. Crazy milestone. Crazy, crazy milestone. Been a very, very busy last, like, 5 days, and I do appreciate you guys trusting us for your latest weather information and everything. And to go along with all this, by the way, this is our highest viewed month ever. Of almost 1.5 million views across the board just this month on YouTube. A lot of that obviously has come in the last week or so, but I'm glad I've been able to help so many people. In the last 48 hours alone, we've had 500,000 views, which is insane. So I'm glad I've been able to help basically over 500,000 people with hurricane covers and all that, and I'm very thankful that I can help all you guys out. It's awesome. Just last year, we were covering Ian. Not this exact time, but about 11 months ago, back at the tail end of September, and at that time, that was a crazy storm on its own, and I think we helped about a couple 100,000 people. This time, it's like almost double that, so it's crazy. Maybe at 1 million soon, yeah, right. Who's my thumbnail inspiration? The thumbnails I make are just ones I make. I've been kind of doing this for a while. I've been doing this at least since the beginning of this year. I've changed my thumbnails a little bit over time. They used to be more based toward actual like graphics, so like, you know, like reflectivity and stuff like that. Depending on what it is, if it's like a video, like it used to be like pictures of something, like a jet stream or something like that. Now I just color shade a map, and I color code it in a way that is, one, very straightforward, and it shows what's going to basically happen. So if it's heat, and that's what the, you know, what's talking about, it'll be red or something like that. In this case today, like the red is showing like where the highest impact region will be, and then yellow is like a lower impact region. So but it's hard to put labels and everything sometimes because it can be kind of messy, but that's kind of how it goes. Big YouTube check. I don't get as much as you might think on YouTube. It's actually a lot less than you might think. Hey, Jasper for $1.99. I appreciate that. Thank you. But college is super expensive, so, and obviously rent and all that. So I have a lot of expenses. No problem, Tammy. Gotta check if I missed anything here. From Oregon? Oregon? I don't think I've ever covered Oregon either. I don't think I've ever covered Oregon in a live stream. Utah, I don't think I've ever covered either. Those are two states that I've never covered. I do want to mention we're 3/4 of the way there to a subscriber play button, which is actually kind of crazy. 3/4 of the way there. Wild times. Let me check this. Yeah, no other updates on Twitter. Again, the tornado risk over the next few hours will increase in this area. So if you're near Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, stay weather aware. Again, there will be an increased chance of tornadoes over the next few hours. And that risk will naturally increase as these storms do come ashore. There have been a few waterspouts offshore, south of Myrtle Beach, but really none of them yet have actually impacted Myrtle Beach. There's been a couple close calls, but they haven't really reached there. So that'll be the increasing threat as we go throughout the next several hours as all these storms do move off to the north and east. Let me go back over to here, and let's go back to the loop here, the satellite again. It's a pretty cool loop of the satellite with how Idalia's evolved. Ryan, maybe I might do that. I'll have to put that as a side note. I guess the inspiration will be coming from you. I might do that in some other thumbnail. It might not be in my video tomorrow. I'll have a video tomorrow. It probably will not be in that thumbnail, but maybe in a future one. Tomorrow's thumbnail will probably be not good, to be honest. About the heat wave. Tomorrow's video will be about the heat wave. It's going to be increasing in the United States. Yeah, Joey, I know. I retweeted on Twitter. There's a video of a car being literally lifted up into the air from a tornado in Goose Creek, South Carolina. I do repeat the same phrases on my thumbnails. I'm not very creative. Pretty bad. I need more creativity. I mean, tossing trampoline, like the flying trampoline meter and everything, like, if I was as creative as that idea, that'd be amazing. One shot sort of thing. Today's trampoline meter, by the way, is a high risk. So if you have any trampolines out there across the Carolina coast, high risk of flying trampolines today. Yesterday was a gone forever stage for those, or even this morning back over on the Gulf Coast. High risk though if you're along the Carolina coast. So yeah, if you have any flying trampolines, you do not want your trampoline to be like this. So make sure you hatch down or flip it over. And you don't want it to be on the top of a power pole either, for sure. That's your flying trampoline meter for today. Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach will be all right. Yeah, if you're back up in Virginia, a couple passing showers. I don't think you're supposed to see storm surge, but let me double check that. Storm surge shouldn't be that bad up there if you do see any. On the map. Yeah, no storm surge up there. So it's pretty much gonna be life-threatening rip currents on the immediate coastline, and that's pretty much about it. Maybe some like increased wave height. So maybe a couple, like 3 foot, maybe 5 foot waves, and then a couple of passing showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder. That's about it. You won't see much further beyond that, though. Pretty straightforward for Virginia. Is Daytona Beach okay? I have a buddy that goes to the university there. From what I've heard, Daytona Beach is fine. I think a lot of the East Coast is fine. There might have been a little bit of storm surge along the coastline. I don't 100% know about that. But if there was any storm surge, it was probably very minor. It didn't, like, come in short, like, inland or anything like that. It was very, like, on the immediate coastline. We made the trampoline meter back in March of 2023. That was after the severe weather event in March of DFW. There's winds as high as 80 miles per hour. and some storms even as high as 90. There's I got sent 250 different photos of trampolines that went flying that day. And that's when the flying trampoline meter was born. Believe it or not. Crazy times. But yeah, honestly, the flying trampoline meter, no, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that has one, or if it's ever made one. And I don't think anybody else would be crazy enough to make one. So, pretty much the only one. Thank you, Scion, for the 199. Any chance this could do a second landfall? I mentioned this earlier. I don't expect this to make another landfall. Again, this will go most likely out to sea. It will impact Bermuda going into next week, or the weekend at least into next week. It'll go this way probably. Very low chance it did this. The only way it would go back toward Florida is if we had a high pressure system near Florida that kind of went down here and steered it back. Or sorry, not, wait. Yeah, high pressure system. I was about to say low pressure system. Never mind. This would basically turn back like that, but that's very unlikely. And it's a very like 1-2% type scenario. And even if this happened, it would have to go back to the northwest for this thing to go into Florida. And it's a very unlikely mid-latitude scenario. Has a lot to do with the mid-latitude stuff. So I don't expect that. But again, it's a possibility, but it's a pretty low chance overall. But again, thank you for your super chat. I do appreciate it. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave those in the chat. And again, if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, yesterday's live stream, I mentioned this on Discord, but I do want to thank you guys. I didn't mention it until later in the live stream. I didn't even realize it, but apparently we hit 10,000 viewers last night at one point, which is crazy. I'm glad I can help so many of you guys. I didn't even notice until like way later in the live stream. I was like, what the heck? I didn't realize how many viewers I had, so if you were there last night, I do appreciate you tuning in, and glad I can help you out, but that was a crazy live stream last night. Like, I didn't realize that until about 3 hours into the live stream. It was about 1 in the morning almost when I saw that. Is this likely the end of hurricane season? This is nowhere near the end of hurricane season. We've yet to even hit the peak of hurricane season. It's August 30th. The peak of hurricane season is on September 10th. It is well, or not really that far away, but it's, I mean, it's still about a week and a half away, so. So, yeah, I mean, we still got more to come. We got multiple weeks ahead of tropical storms and hurricanes, but obviously right now there's nothing else forecasted to impact the United States in the short term. Long term we'll have to watch for very closely, but yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at. And it falls very steeply. It doesn't really fall until mid to late October when it really falls, but September is a very active month in the tropics. Thank you, Scion, for the 199. I live in Tallahassee, and the wind is crazy here. Tallahassee? The wind is still crazy there? Let me check this out here. Surprised if your wind was still high. Oh, was crazy. Sorry, I read that wrong. We do have a tornado warning. Has been issued just to the south of Wilmington and east of Myrtle Beach. That is a very strong area of rotation. Holy cow. This could easily be on the ground at any time. Seek shelter immediately away from windows, lowest floor possible. Very strong rotation right now, located near Midway, and this is currently going off to the northwest. Again, seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. If you are currently included in this tornado warning, that is the tightest rotation I've seen that has not dropped a tornado this year. That is extremely strong rotation. And get to your safe place away from windows, lowest floor possible. This is in parts of southern North Carolina, east of Myrtle Beach, south of Wilmington. It's going to the northwest. That is extremely strong rotation. Oh, we do have a tornado on the ground now. Tornado is on the ground currently close to Southport. And this is an ongoing tornado on the ground. This is going to be located near Southport. That is officially now on the ground. As of a moment ago, rotation on the last scan just weakened a little bit. But there's definitely at least a brief tornado that just occurred right there. Let's zoom into this. Let's blow it up. This is near St. James. So this is a debris area near Beaver Dam Creek that just occurred. That is definitely debris right there. Again, south of 211. That's going towards Southport Supply Road. Latest radar scan shows broader rotation, but that very first scan there, that was 100% a tornado. I was about to say, that was the strongest rotation I've seen all year without a tornado, but look at that thing. Very tight there for one scan. That was the tornado right there. Lifted up debris. Again, that was just southeast of Midway in North Carolina, near Coolvale. But still stay in your safe place. This very well could recycle. There is debris in the atmosphere now. This is the latest radar scan. That was at least a brief tornado that just dropped there. Columbia, South Carolina is mainly rain. Go back to the radar here. Yeah, this is a pretty defined hook too. Yeah, that hook. Inflow going to the storm. That was your tornado right there near 211. Back to the velocities. Yeah, this could recycle. We're going to stay on this. This was just on the ground moments ago. Was confirmed by radar for a brief stint. This is your correlation coefficient drop. Again, if you're just tuning in, this was the tornado right here. I'm going to blow into this a little bit. This is southwest of Coolvale, right there. Just northeast of St. James in North Carolina. Near Southport. That debris right there, that debris signature, lasted a very short stint with this tornado. Very strong rotation as well at the time. That could have been possibly a strong, brief tornado, too. The velocities were very high there. And it's very possible that this does recycle as this moves towards Supply, Middle River, Bolivia. So again, stay in your safe place. Lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. That was a radar confirmed tornado there. Cedar Key had storm surge at least around 7 feet. I'm not sure what the exact number was, though. I'll look it up and see. There might be there's a website for it. I just don't remember what it's called. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is an ongoing tornado warning in parts of southern North Carolina. This was briefly on the ground moments ago, so it very well could drop again. Stay in your safe place, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. You're currently included in this tornado warning. This is going to include areas just down to the south of Wilmington. This is a zoomed out look of this. All right, let me see. I think I found it. For Cedar Key. Doesn't show here either. There's a website for it, but I cannot remember the name. Anybody knows the website for that? For the, like the surge and everything? Let me know. I can't remember what the name was. Oh, wait, no. Never mind. I think I found it. Peak was 6.79 feet of surge. That was the peak. Did this thing catch up to Franklin? No. Franklin will speed up, and this is going to slow down. Two completely different things. Thank you, Scion, for the 199. Woke up today, and a tree was on top of my house. I wouldn't be surprised with how high those winds were. By the way, over near Coolvale, there's a high intense area of wind. Almost 80 miles per hour here near Coolvale. We very well could be talking about substantial damaging winds now ongoing near Coolvale, going toward Bowling Spring Lakes. 80 mile per hour winds, again, are pretty much like a Category 1 hurricane force winds. So, again, stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. And if you're included in this tornado warning, it does include parts of southern North Carolina. This is south of Wilmington in Brunswick County, North Carolina. Moving north. Yeah, it has a potential to recycle. I mean, initially, obviously, this was very strong rotation. It is trying to recycle. And we have this huge high burst of winds here toward Coolvale. It's going toward the Bowling Springs Lakes area. It's entirely possible that this does end up dropping another tornado here. There was a brief tornado there briefly in parts of southern North Carolina, and it's trying. And there's even a possibility, I mean, this is weakening, it looks like, but there's a possibility that this up here could maybe drop something. Let's see. Yeah, it might try. It's hard to tell. There's high winds up here for sure. There's a little red there you can kind of see, but if this comes organized up here with this like hook that you saw, the reflectivity, we'll go back to this. With this hook, if it tries to like reorganize, maybe try to do a second type of tornado here, it's possible. But the initial area of rotation there is definitely weakening for the time being. Thank you, DK, for becoming an 11-month member. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. 11 months as a VIP Chaser or VIP Velocity member. Let's get some hearts in the chat for DK. That's almost 1 year as the highest tier of our memberships. I really do appreciate that, DK. Thank you. Hearts in the chat for DK. Will we see any more 90+ degree temperatures in South Carolina this year? It's definitely possible. I'll have a video again tomorrow breaking down the heat wave because there's going to be another heat wave in the United States. That video will be out tomorrow. Probably around 5, but possibly in the morning if I'm able to. I'm going to sleep a lot tomorrow, so I don't know when I'm actually going to have the video. My Thursdays are usually not very busy, so I should have some time to do a video. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is a tornado warning ongoing in southern parts of North Carolina. There's also a little bit of... Never mind. That's near Supply. There's storm also near Redbug that's trying to do something near Charlotte. Watch that closely. Again, this right here near Midway, that's our ongoing rotation. Pretty broad, pretty weak rotation. Moving up to the north right now. DK, were you in the path of that hurricane? I know you said, I'm pretty sure you live along the Gulf Coast. Flying back from Amsterdam. Never been to there before. Alright, let's see if there's any other updates on Twitter. And there was briefly a tornado, if you're just tuning in. There was a brief tornado with this that was located over this neighborhood northeast of St. James, near the Beaver Dam Creek area, west of 133, south of 211. It was brief. Picked up some debris. That's about it for this storm so far. High winds ongoing near Bowling Springs Lake, perhaps as high as 80 miles per hour. And there's still a chance that this could try to recycle with the tornado, but so far it's struggling. Not in the path? That's good. Here's the latest radar scan. Still rotation, but it's pretty weak right now. High winds continuing close to Bowling Springs Lake. And that's moving off to the northwest. You're going towards Supply eventually. Perhaps Bolivia. Bolivia, you should be alert for those high winds. Again, this is south of Wilmington, North Carolina. There's a low chance of a tornado in South Carolina. I don't know where Greenville is, but basically, if you're anywhere in that tornado watch right now, that's the area of concern. Right, so this is the entire area of concern here. So, again, anywhere along the coast within about a county or so of the coastline, that's the concern for a tornado risk. As well as parts of the Carolina coast. But you'll notice over here, like Columbia, Florence, those areas are not really in a concern for tornadoes, but you're in a concern for flooding. The tornado risk is primarily along the coastline because we have these bands of showers and storms that are going south to north and coming inland. And that process that we have is all the shear and all the wind profiles match up pretty well with these sort of storms. And that's usually why we get some of these tornadoes going with the tropical activity, especially on the eastern side. Idalia is now a tropical storm as of an hour ago. Before 5 o'clock, this was still a hurricane. It's 70-mile-per-hour winds. It's not going to be post-tropical until... It's probably not going to be post-tropical at all, actually. Probably going to maintain tropical intensity because it's going to go back in the Atlantic Ocean tonight. And once that happens, it's going to go toward Bermuda as a tropical storm. So, not weakening anytime soon. Or it's weakening, but it's not going to be, going out anytime soon. Still be something we're talking about probably in a few days for Bermuda. Thanks, Volcano. I appreciate that. Watched lots of forecasters, and you're the best I've ever seen. Get that. 99 degrees? That's crazy for South Carolina. I don't know what the highest temperature has been in South Carolina this year, but it's been hot everywhere. Florida's been hot. Florida's gotten upwards of some days being as high as 100 as well. Close to 100. Not 100, but it's very rare for Florida to hit 100 degrees. It doesn't happen very often. It's just so tropical. It's so humid. The rotation's fizzled out entirely. We have another area of rotation perhaps trying to develop near the Bowling Springs Lake area, but the initial area of rotation has now fizzled. And it's moving to the north-northwest. It's again south of Wilmington in North Carolina. Any chance this tropical storm will power back into a hurricane once it gets closer to Bermuda? I don't think so. I think this is going to really stay at the same intensity it's already at. I'm going to check, though, and see what the other models are showing. But I don't think this will probably really intensify a whole lot. If it does, I think it's going to really just stay around its intensity. It's kind of funny. Real quickly, I know we're on a tornado warning, but the rotation's weak right now. But I do want to show you this. The European model here. This is kind of a interesting little tease from the European model. Notice how it goes like east here. This is Friday. Look by Saturday. It like starts to tease a drop down to the south, trying to curve back. You know, it's teasing it. It's teasing a curve back toward Florida, and then it starts to move more east. So it's kind of a funny little tease. Here's the full view of it. The European model shows a pressure of around 1,000, 990, 988. The lowest it shows is 998. That's pretty much tropical storm level. Let's look at the GFS as well, just to kind of match this all up. GFS shows 1,000. GFS is so wanting to go down to the southwest, but it's just not. Gets to 996. Actually, GFS shows us going back toward the coast, which, again, the GFS has been doing some funky things over the last 24 hours. That's what I'll say. It's been doing some wacky things. It's entirely possible that it's been showing really crazy things like going back to Florida, going now toward, you know, the coastline of the United States. It's crazy. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll watch it still closely. Will be remembered as one of the weathermen who brought the southeast through Idalia. I don't know if that's even something else. This broadcast is protecting life in Charleston, South Carolina. God help. I can help you out. Yeah, this tornado warning is south of Wilmington, North Carolina. It's still ongoing. And some really wacky, tight rotation there, but that's not really connected to a storm here. Let's see what that's actually is about. Might be connected with this storm. Maybe I actually have we can match this up with the correlation coefficient. There could be a tornado here. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything definitive, but that's pretty strong rotation right there. It's off the storm, which is interesting. Here's the latest radar scan. Again, we got some very broad rotation right now. Nothing defined anymore. We had a tornado with this at the beginning. There was a tornado on the ground. It's no longer on the ground. So it is a weakening storm right now for sure. No problem, Tanya. Yeah, I will have a video tomorrow, so the next time after this live stream ends, which will be in a little bit, but next time you'll see me is the video tomorrow. Doing videos tomorrow, pretty much every day again. I do have a wacky schedule again, so videos might happen at random times. Like, it could be as early as 10 o'clock, it could be as late as 6 o'clock. Like, it could be any time, so there's a pretty wide range of when it could happen. Tornado warning has been updated and condensed, and it is still rotating, but pretty broad rotation at this point. This is the third tornado that has been confirmed today. As long as everything stands. Again, it was radar confirmed by me. Has not been confirmed by the National Weather Service, but it was a brief tornado, at least, by the looks of it. It had a correlation coefficient drop. matched up with the radar pretty well, so I'm pretty sure this is our third tornado of the day confirmed. But I don't want to speculate too far, just in case, because, you know, I would say a 90% chance that that was a tornado. But, otherwise, 3 tornadoes confirmed today. There's probably been more. There's one in Avon Lake, Florida. That was early this morning. That was like when I was live last night. And then we had a tornado over in Goose Creek, South Carolina. A car got lifted up into the air. And now this would be our third tornado. Confirmed. There's probably been other ones outside of this. As of right now, this tornado is not on the ground. The tornado warning is still ongoing, but the rotation's definitely broadened out. What happened if a tropical storm hit wind farm? The wind turbines, I'm pretty sure, one, would sustain damage if it goes way too high. I'm pretty sure there's a cap on them to begin with. For the wind. I'm not a you know, a person that knows about windmills that much, so, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens. There's typically a cap on energy that they get anyways. Not entirely sure. Shallow, thank you, Scarlet, thank you. Turbines stop over a certain speed. All right, well that makes sense. Thank you. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it is. Again, it does have a peak of some, to some extent, but yeah, they do have a cap basically. DFW, by the way, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, has been extremely hot this summer. It's been the hottest August on record over there, so it's been hot. It's been a hot summer. Stop stream, get some rest. Probably after this tornado warning, we'll probably be done. That's my guess, because my voice is starting to get there. We're about 3 hours in. I did not think I'd be live for 3 hours, but we've been live way longer than I thought. I was going to be live for about an hour, but we've been live for 3. But obviously, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the stream. Again, we'll be live here through this tornado warning, and if anything else pops up, we might still be live. But we kind of gone through everything that we need to talk about. Storm surge, flooding rains, all that sort of stuff will continue. Tornado threat continues till 10. I would usually be live longer for an event like this with tornadoes, but I need to preserve my voice for live streams and such down the road. Because again, the last time I burnt down my voice, I wasn't able to go live or do videos for literally 5 or 6 days. It was brutal. I literally couldn't talk or anything. I was personally really, like, you know, put it in nice terms, annoyed at myself. I went live for so long one day and I lost my voice. It's not worth it. So I have to kind of preserve my voice in some instances. We've been live every single day here for the last like 6 days. The only day we weren't live during that time frame was the 26th. So a total of 23 hours or 24 hours of live streaming just in the last few days. It's been very, very, very busy. South Carolina power outages, by the way, are now up to 18,000 without power. The power outages are now starting to increase. Here's the power outage map. Jasper County, most without the power right now, as well as Bamberg County. Starting to lose power outages. Florida still has 217,000 without power. Apparently Jefferson County has more people without power than they even track. So this is in Florida, 8,683 people without power in Jefferson County are tracked, and then 8,700 people are without power. So an extra 27 people evacuated to Jefferson County and lost power? I don't know. It's a weird one. Apparently there's more people without power there but that entire county was pretty much without power to begin with. Georgia right now has 224,000 without power. But Florida has improved. At the beginning of this live stream, it was 270,000 without power. It is now at 214 or 15,000 without power. So it's improving. Yes, Mystic, it is. Yep. I'm on that wacky schedule. This is in North Carolina. Again, this is south of Wilmington. The rotation's pretty weak right now. It has fizzled out. I'm guessing that this tornado warning will probably be canceled. Or let to expire. One of the two. It expires in 10 minutes, or they'll cancel it. One of the two. And back near Myrtle Beach, I'm not seeing anything in particular that's concerning. Again, the eye of Idalia is all the way back down here, near Beaufort and Savannah in the Carolinas. But again, the eye is right about here, like right here. It's now crossed into South Carolina, so it is now officially in South Carolina, or not officially, but unofficially in South Carolina. And that's where it is now. The peak of the winds, and obviously the peak of the rain is all north of it. Again, that's all the downpours and such. It'll be producing the threat of rainfall totals between 4 to 8 inches as this continues to move to the north and east. So, be pretty active. We have another pocket rotation coming off the coast as well. Anticyclonic rotation, actually, looks like. Interesting one. Off the coast, a little bit of rotation here. Long Beach. We'll have to watch that closely as well as that moves inland. But the rotation on this initial tornado warning is definitely weakened. How's the tornado watch in Berkeley County? It is still ongoing, but the overall tornado risk in Berkeley County is still low. Everywhere is low to medium. If you're on the immediate coastline, it's a little bit higher of a chance because of the water spouts coming inland, but overall, it's still a low probability for that area. The further inland you go, the less of a chance it is, basically. You'll still be dealing with tropical storm force winds. It's been going on in California. It has an outage too. I have zero clue what's going on in California. Apparently, there's 13,000 people without power, and they're kind of sporadic in different counties. So I'm guessing it's just isolated outages from random things. I don't know. I can't really tell you. I don't think it's weather related, but it could be. I don't know. I really do not keep much track of California when it comes to weather. I just don't. Just not a state that has really active weather. It's mostly like wildfires, heat waves, all that sort of stuff. But obviously with Hillary, it would have been a different story. Yeah, the rotation's definitely weaker on the storm. At 7 minutes to go with this storm, we have another pocket of rotation down here to the south. Might be something to watch for. Possibly even a severe storm trying to develop now. Maybe a small hail core or something like that. East-sized hail. Could on go with this. Rolling blackouts in California. Oh, is that what that is? How's it going, 4? Welcome back. It is weather-related. Excessive heat watch. That would be why. That would be excessive heat that's happening there. Thought the California tropical storm's damage is going to be much worse, but I haven't seen too much. It wasn't really about the overall wind. It was about the rain. And the rain caused a bunch of mudslides and stuff like that. And it basically led to the big flooding that we saw in some of the certain areas. A lot of the areas that got the flooding were rural, luckily, but yeah. Overall, it wasn't too bad in terms of winds and stuff. So again, it was a tropical storm upon landfall, technically, in California. This has now downgraded to a tropical storm, yes. It's in the title, too. I do change the title very frequently if anything's changing, so yes, it is now officially a tropical storm, no longer a hurricane, sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. So, good news. Good news. But it's still producing pretty much the same threats as it would have been with a Category 1 at 75 miles per hour. So, I mean, it's not really a huge difference. It's 5 miles per hour, but just realize storm surge will continue tonight, and we're still looking at the threat for heavy rainfall, several inches of rain, and it's obviously going to be a concern in that regard as well. Here's a 3D view of this thunderstorm, by the way. It's all the storm activity. It's a 3D view. A lot of rain. A lot of rain. 3D view really doesn't help, though. It's just so much rain. It's kind of hard to look at this one. That's a little bit offshore. All right. Rotation continues to stay pretty weak here in this tornado warning. It expires in 5 minutes. And that should be done again in southern parts of North Carolina. This is south of Wilmington. I think another hurricane will hit Florida this year. I mean, another hurricane could hit somewhere, but in my opinion, a hurricane is probably going to happen somewhere, but we'll see if it actually impacts, land. To be determined. Again, we're not even at the peak of hurricane season yet, so we'll see. Things are subject to change, and we're going to see what happens. lot of time to go until the end of hurricane season. We still got multiple months. September, October are very busy usually. We had late September Ian last year, and we had Nicole in October. So it's very possible we have more activity here pretty soon. So obviously, don't get your hopes up if you thought it was done, because it's not, unfortunately. Definitely going to continue. Alrighty. Well, this officially concludes our Hurricane Idalia, or now Tropical Storm Idalia, live coverage. This is our last one. We've had about 5 different live streams. And obviously, again, over the course of these 5 live streams, we've helped over 500,000 people being prepared for this and all that sort of stuff. That's a huge number, by the way. I do appreciate you guys all tuning into these live streams. It's been very active. Again, we've been live multiple days in a row since really literally we started these live streams back 3 days before landfall on August 27th, and went all the way through August 30th. And we were very busy, obviously, with Idalia coverage and giving you an idea what was going to happen. It's been extremely busy, and I really do appreciate you guys all tuning in to these live streams. Again, we've had a very active last several days. My voice is held through all these live streams, which is just crazy. I thought I would lose my voice at some point. We've live streamed this almost 25 hours total. Obviously, a lot of mental prep and all that. It gets it to 40 hours of just preparing for these events and all that. So I do appreciate you guys all tuning in. Stay safe if you're still in the track of these storms. Again, there is a tornado risk still existing tonight. Tropical storm force winds, heavy rainfall, all that sort of stuff will still be a possibility tonight. Make sure you're staying safe. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Yeah, we do coverage like this all the time for severe weather events across the United States. We do it for winter storms, for hurricanes and tropical storms and all that sort of stuff. We do coverage for that. So make sure to subscribe if you're new here. If you want to support the page above and beyond, if you enjoyed this live coverage, if you found it useful and you want to support the page financially, you can donate to the page or become a member. It's those top links in the description below. We have a merchandise store as well. That is in the description below. And if you want to support the page, it goes a long way. So just consider it. Again, by no means required, but it really helped the page out a lot. I'm going to post another link in the chat. It is our Linktree link. Check that out. All of our social media pages like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Follow us on those platforms. I'm very active on Twitter, so you can follow us there at MaxVelocityWX. And yeah, that's it. That's the end of Hurricane Idalia live stream, or live coverage. This is our last one. It's been a very long ride, and obviously prayers to anybody that was impacted by this directly. I hope everything gets better very soon and a rapid recovery. Stay safe if you're still on the track of this. Again, heavy rain is the main concern, but there is still a chance again for an isolated tornado or two, and perhaps as well as some damaging winds. So be mindful of that. Tornado risk goes all the way into the overnight hours, and then it'll be done by tomorrow morning. All right. Have a safe rest of your night, guys. A video will be out tomorrow, so I'll see you guys then. Have the bell icon clicked so you get notified with that video. And again, we'll see you guys all again soon. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks for tuning in to the last several live streams. It's been very busy. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. We'll see you guys all.